August 1st, 2015, he pled guilty to disorderly conduct and he paid a fine.
Yeah, disorderly conduct's nothing. Like, if that's a catch-all, that you basically, all of us are probably guilty of disorderly conduct in multiple states every day.
I'm really glad that he cried out when he was giving testimony, because I can see how many like fake lefties that pretend to care about or understand anything about like panic attacks or trauma or any of that stuff have come out of the woodwork.
As Shark Zero's point here, right? Like, he keeps saying these words like the Three Percenters, the Proud Boys, and all of these groups, and we say all of them are white supremacists. I don't know if that's true. It seems like they're, at the very least. I don't know if they're all white supremacists.
Have you looked into any of these groups?
You can, no, because it's
okay.
being
Yeah,
like,
it's
just
clear.
real quick.
Another episode of Pardon the Heemterruption. I am very, very excited for this week's episode. I'm going to introduce my guests one by one, then I'm going to go over the rules, and then we will jump right into the topics, okay? So first, I want to say thank you to all my guests for joining me. I know some of you came on short notice and others came on long notice, but either way, I appreciate all of you for coming. So let's go right into the introductions. So I'm going to introduce the first person who's new to the Twitch political panel space. My first guest is the progressive Brat. She is a progressive political content creator and activist. Her main platform is TikTok, although she is planning to start live streaming here on Twitch in the next couple of weeks. She works with local politicians in the Bay Area, collaborates with different activists, and regularly creates content on her social media platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Ariana. How are you doing, Ariana?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm really excited to have you. How long have you been interested in politics?
I've been interested for a really long time, but I actually just started content creating 2 months ago, so I'm actually pretty new to the content creation field. I do plan on coming on Twitch in a couple of weeks, but it's only been a couple of months, and I've already grown to 45,000 followers on TikTok, so I'm definitely really blessed with all the people that support me and see my vision. But yeah, it hasn't been that long.
Awesome. Welcome. I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go over to my next guest. My next guest is didn't send me a blurb, so something United Kingdom. Kevin, how you doing, Kevin? Good to see you.
I did send you a blurb.
Where was it?
I did a joke. I did a joke because Shark said he was a micro internet celebrity, and I said I'm not even a micro internet celebrity. So,
how you doing, Kevin? You good?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good. And you're a left-wing political content creator, is that right?
Yeah. I'm a leftoid. I'm a leftoid in the Anglo box.
Are you in? Where are you, in England? Where do you reside?
Yeah. I'm in Birmingham, England, which is like Birmingham, Alabama, but less white, ironically.
All right, I'm really excited to have you. Thank you. And I know that one reason why I'm really excited for tonight's panel is because I know you all have very strong opinions on these topics, and I can't wait to hear it. So welcome, Kevin. All right, let's go over to my next guest. My next guest is the premier conservative debater on Twitch, an overweight guy by his own words, with a high-pitched voice by his own words, not mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Noerr. Rob Noerr, how you doing?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, that was the blurb I said. So
Okay.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. I know that weekends are tough for you sometimes, but I appreciate that you made the effort to make it. How long have you been making content for?
I think
Rob?
I started on YouTube around 2019. I've been on Twitch for a little over a year. Weekends are a little tough because I do home health care at people with developmental disabilities homes, and I'm off the clock. But just to let everyone know, if an emergency would strike up, I might have to run out for a minute. Never happens, but just
all right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. I had an emergency today. My fucking power was out all day long, so basically anything is possible today. I'm really excited to have you, Rob. This is the first time you've been on my panel, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over to my next guest. My next guest is an international man of mystery. He's got nothing to promote. You can't find him. You won't find him. He's not Batman. He's DrRedPill. DrRedPill, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Short and sweet. Just want to get into the topics.
All right. Dr. Red Pill, I haven't never talked to you about your Red Pill stances on things, but fuck, we keep saying that every time we're going to have that conversation, but we still haven't had a chance yet. But welcome. Thank you. Let's go over to my next guest. My next guest it says Shork. I don't know why. I think he might have a typo in his name, but it's Shark300. He's a niche micro internet celebrity. How you doing, Shark?
Hey, what's going on, Heem? Thank you for having me on the panel.
How's your YouTube doing? Your YouTube has exploded over the last few months.
I mean, it's doing just fine. I have been blessed with a great community and a lot of eyes on some of the stuff that I've been doing, and it's been really fun. So I went full time a couple months ago, and we've just been riding the wave since. So
dope.
It's been cool.
Dope, man. I love watching your content. You make good shit, and I'm really excited to have you on. All right, and finally, my last conservative guest is a left-leaning progressive streamer and YouTuber. Hate him or love him, ladies and gents, put your hands together for the one and only Destiny. What's up, bro?
Hi, how's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How are you? Everything good?
Yeah, it's here to shout at people.
You're here as conservative, I think, today.
I don't even know what I'm here as. We'll see. The world is going fucking insane, dude.
All right, let's just jump right into it. All right, thank you so much. Those are the introductions, and if you're watching this on YouTube later, I will link all of my guests' socials except Dr. Redpill. He's an international man of mystery, but everyone else, you can find their socials in the description below. All right, before we jump into the topics, I'm going to go over the rules real quick, okay? Basic rules, you probably know them. Please respect one another, even in disagreement. There's a right and wrong way to do it. If I sense that you're being disrespectful to others, I will call you out on it, and I'll even mute you if I find it necessary. Please respect the Twitch terms of service and don't use any slurs or insults that are based on people's immutable characteristics. And
oh, I wanted slurs. I've been researching slurs specifically for this. What the fuck?
Might be used to in some panels, but if I'm doing it, it's just because I want to clarify what it is that you're talking about. If I can't understand what it is you're talking about, chances are no one else can understand it either. We'll start each topic with a quick little intro, but we won't do outros because we'll just exhaust the topic until it's finished and we'll move on, okay? And last, but most important, don't be boring. I've got a viewership to maintain, and that's most important, all right? Cool. Let's jump into the topics. First topic. Hang on a second. First topic. So the topics tonight are easy to discuss topics. They're Travis Scott and Kyle Rittenhouse. So the first one we're going to talk about, last week's Astroworld Festival, hosted and headlined by Travis Scott, a crowd of more than 50,000 rushed the stage, which resulted in the death of 9 people and injuries to many others, including a 9-year-old who's in coma right now. Travis Scott has a history of encouraging risky behavior from his lyrics, where he says things like, "And it ain't no mosh pit if there ain't no injuries. I got him stage diving out the nosebleeds," to his tweets where he encouraged fans to sneak into his sold-out concerts. He also continued the concert when there was an ambulance in the crowd. The question is, do you think Travis Scott holds responsibility? And if he doesn't, how could something like this have been prevented? So I'm gonna go ahead. Let's start off the introductions with the conservative left-leaning streamer Destiny. Go ahead, bro.
Fuck, why are you starting me on this one? I've seen a lot of different things in terms of like what level of responsibility does an artist have for maintaining a concert. I know there's a lot of people that want to blame Travis Scott's lyrics. I don't know if we can say that if you have lyrics that implicitly encourage rowdy behavior, if that makes you explicitly responsible for something that goes on at one of your concerts. I would probably lean towards no on that. I know that there were statements by I think it was the county police department saying that if he would have just stopped the concert, there could have been like even more riots. So it doesn't seem like that was the right answer. I've also heard that there was like a record number of personnel there to actually staff the event, but then I've also heard that there wasn't enough. So I don't know. It seems like kind of an unfortunate thing that maybe like as a society we can do better to talk about these things, but I don't know if there's like one individual person that I'd say this guy is at fault for what happened.
Okay, let's go over to Shark. Shark, what do you think?
Sure. So after looking at a lot of the stuff that happened in all of the videos and reading up on some stuff, I think Travis does hold like some blame for what happened at the concert. I mean, it is his concert at the end of the day. It is his event at the end of the day. And the crews and the personnel there, if something goes wrong, I mean, the buck has to stop with someone. And if it's his event, it has to be him. With that being said, I mean, Travis has a history of encouraging some pretty bad behavior at his concerts. And when I say that, I don't mean just like being rowdy or whatever. It's more like he's told people to jump off things, and there's someone who got like permanently injured, if I remember, in New York. And so and there have been like other people who've worked for Astroworld and Travis Scott before who said that he has agitated the crowd to do things like actually hurt security guards or dodge security guards, which can lead to a lot of problems. So, I mean, he probably holds some blame. There is a whole staff there at the end of the day. Police were there. What could be done is we're not sure necessarily, but we're gonna have to see as time goes on. I mean, he is getting sued, so.
Okay, thank you. Let's go over to DrRedPill.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. The buck does stop with him, so I would think he would be trying to hire someone to oversee this and sort of like manage like the conscientious aspects of the venue. Like he shouldn't be personally responsible for the details, but like finding a good person to deal with those details and like keep everything running smoothly does kind of stop with him. As far as like the way he promotes that kind of risky behavior, I think, yeah, he should probably reel it in a little bit, and maybe something like this where he gets a lot of backlash is going to like snap something and make him consider it more carefully. Yeah, that's all I got for now.
Okay, let's go over to Kevin.
Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be a great deal of divergence of opinion on this one.
I get those goosebumps every time. Yeah. See, listen, I can't listen to Travis Scott anymore the same way. I can't listen to him the same way. I have so many Travis Scott songs in a lot of my playlists, and look at this.
The lyrics, rock and roll singers have been singing about doing all kinds of crazy shit for years, and we don't blame them for, well, anything really. Outside of, I don't know, satanic panic madness or something, which I think we all accept is wrong. So I don't think his lyrics are responsible for anything, and R.I.P. to the people who died.
Way to go, Haim. Fucked it all up.
Bro, just you wait. If anything, I'll debate all of you by myself. I don't give a fuck. Let's go over to Ariana.
Yeah, I don't know if I would really blame the lyrics. I think it's hard. I was the only person that had the pleasure to actually interview his old manager that had a seizure in his basement in 2013. And I think his whole entire fan base and marketing is completely manufactured. I mean, his fan base, they're kind of like a rock R&B. When they first started him, they marketed him towards a very specific audience and niche. And I think what he's cultivated is just very different. I mean, in 2015, he was arrested on charges of inciting the crowd to jump over barriers. And then in 2017, he was also arrested for similar charges. So I think this was kind of coming in a sense. I don't know if I expected as big of a tragedy or if anyone really did, but I do believe that he kind of has this whole message of like, no bystanders, ragers only. And I don't know if I would only blame it on his lyrics though. I don't think it's just that. I think it's a whole environment that he's been able to cultivate within the years.
Okay. And let's go to Rob.
Yeah, I don't have really strong feelings on this, to be honest. I didn't know who Travis Scott was until this incident. I've read a little about it. So, I guess I agree a lot with what people are saying here. Some things that I might have a bone of contention with. I don't blame lyrics at all. And I also don't, I guess I would have to ask once we get into the general discussion. I assume he didn't own this venue. It's probably something that he rented out. So if it's true that he did poor things in the past that led to people being skeptical of whether this would get out of hand, then you almost have to blame the venue for allowing someone like that to come in. Look, I've been to concerts. The first concerts I ever went to were the Dead Kennedys, 6 Feet Under, Slayer, stuff like that. Some of those bands literally tell people, line up on this side, run at each other, beat the shit out of each other. I've seen people get hurt. Never once was it brought up that their lyrics or their claims should criminally at least at the concerts I was at. So, you know, whatever he said in the past, whatever his lyrics are, if he didn't directly tell people like rush in and stomp people, I don't know how you could legally hold him accountable. I guess it depends on what the laws are. Morally, I'd like to think if it was me, I would stop once I knew that people were being crushed and being killed. But he saw an ambulance. It could have been anything. Someone could have had a heat stroke. Like, if you're on stage and you see that, are you going to stop your concert? I don't know. So, you know, I don't have strong feelings other than I feel terrible for the people that were injured and the people that died. But I don't know how much culpability goes on the guy.
All right. Since you guys all seem to be agreeing, I'm going to debate every single one of you on this topic.
Jesus.
Okay?
Well, can I point something out real quick relating to like death metal concerts or whatever? So,
go ahead.
I think the whole world knows this by now, but I guess in case there are like two people that don't, like the death metal crowd, like has the appearance of being a very rough and rowdy bunch of people, but the etiquette at these concerts is like pretty well established. Like you might be going there and lining up and like kind of quote unquote beating the shit out of each other. But like if somebody like goes down, like you're picking people up. The goal is not to actually kill somebody. So even though these concerts do have mosh pits and even though it gets like really crazy, like there is like a general etiquette that's understood among those concert goers that probably doesn't exist yet. Because if I had to guess, because God knows I don't listen to fucking Travis Scott, that audience is probably a bit younger and doesn't have that background or that exposure to those types of events. And when you look at stuff on TV, mosh pits do just look like a ton of people trying to stampede and murder each other. So I can understand why maybe his fans might engage in the behavior kind of superficially, but they don't understand the etiquette that goes around like ensuring the safety of everybody in that event.
Okay, so here's my contention, okay? First of all, this show was sold out in May. This guy fucking tweeted, "It's sneak in," okay? And then, like, I don't know. Do you guys think that that's appropriate? That's one thing. Another one, people rushed the gates and, like, overthrew the security right before the concert even started. Don't you think that maybe the concert should have been canceled or at least postponed? Like, do you just continue when there's literally immediately holes in your logistics right off the bat?
I don't think that popular music artists saying a thing is necessarily makes them culpable for other people's actions. Like rock musicians have been telling people to take drugs and fuck freely for years. Does that mean they're somehow complicit in AIDS or fucking opioid epidemic? Like, no, these are individual people. If you rush in the thing, you're a fucking idiot, you know?
And also on that specifically, like, I don't know. I would assume that it was an outdoor venue, right? But I would assume that there's still something like local police and fire marshals that are there and aware of this. So wouldn't that be their call? If they saw that, like, whoa, we think this is getting more than we could manage. Like, I don't know what the like, maybe there's someone head of security or someone that makes that call. But I don't know if you leave it up to an artist. Like, what the hell does he know about security? If someone comes in and goes, hey, we think that things are getting out of hand and security won't be able to handle it. He's not qualified to make that call.
He was the organizer of the event.
I mean, we say he was the organizer, but that's probably a name, right? Like I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt he has like firsthand organizing any of this. He's probably got like a company or talent or whatever behind him that takes care of these type of day-to-day things, right?
Would you guys, go ahead.
He like painted himself into a corner as far as like stopping it when it got out of hand, because his whole brand is like rage, like keep raging. To like ask him to like stop, it's like such a like buzzkill.
Well,
like,
that's where I'm saying he holds the responsibility.
Yeah, but if you brand yourself like that, it's so hard to reel it in and like try and slow down the action, I think.
And what about when he go ahead. Actually, one more thing I want to say. What about when he sees the ambulance with the siren on in the crowd and like he just says like, put your middle fingers in the air if you guys think that we should just continue the show. Obviously, like everyone's going to put their, what kind of measurement is that of like security and stuff?
And also people had their hands in the air. They were trying to flag down some security people and ambulances. And once he did that, they got completely drowned out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, his manager told me that the whole entire crowd is completely manufactured, so that the same etiquette that goes into rock concerts and mosh pitting does not exist with Travis Scott audience because they just don't know.
Wait, what is we keep saying manufactured? What does that mean?
So basically, when he started managing Travis Scott, they all knew that he couldn't be the next YG or Nipsey Hussle because that's really just not his brand or the way that he raps and stuff like that. So they basically, he put it this way. He said that they had to manufacture a whole kind of fan base. And he said that they specifically targeted teenage white males And they kind of created this whole raging kind of like punk rock, but rap kind of like audience. And so within this, he would really promote raging and stuff like that within his concert.
14-year-old white kids.
Sorry,
what was that?
What did you? Oh, sorry. I think he was trying to think out loud to himself. Go ahead. Keep.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Sorry. So, oh man, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, basically, anyways, they basically had to manufacture his whole entire fan base because they just couldn't make him into the next Nipsey or YG. His whole entire fan base, they were targeting young white men, white teenagers, and they would start raging and moshing, but that same etiquette that goes into, mosh pitting and other concerts and rock environments was non-existent when, Travis had concerts, and he kind of promotes this crazy rager environment. So it was kind of the recipe of disaster, if you ask me. That's what
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that Twitch creators are responsible for their chat and stuff in some way?
To
I'm wondering if there's a parallel here,
we have
right?
some degree of responsibility, of course. And then what actions happen, we also have some degree of responsibility. But I mean, like, you have to have a deeper conversation about this, right? Like, if you're on stream every day being like, I hate this person, we need to get this person, guys, we're gonna get it, and then somebody does something, then yeah, you have like some level of responsibility, of course. But if you like get into a fight with somebody and then you have a large fan base and somebody goes and they do something horrible, like, do you really have that level of responsibility? I probably would not agree with that. It depends on like the type of messaging, I guess, you are sending out to your audience.
Okay, but I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but like, didn't you just accuse Mix Vivian Wolf of being a stochastic terrorist yesterday?
Yeah, but I would say that when you're on the level of intentionally spreading misinformation, when you're demonizing groups of people, and then when you're encouraging other people to murder other people that disagree with your political beliefs, I think that's way the fuck over the line of whatever I'm talking about.
Has she encouraged someone to murder?
Yeah, so Vivian's entire argument was that if you believed that there were any right-leaning groups coming to your city to protest, that you have a right to kill them if they come to your town. That sounds to me like encouragement to murder, or at the very least, like an explicit endorsement of it, especially when you're doing it on grounds of political beliefs and misstated political beliefs, right? When you're calling like all of a group of people fascists or white nationalists when they're not really. So yeah, I think that's way over the line for that.
So you think Mix Vivian Wolf's rhetoric is more dangerous than like Travis Scott telling his fans to rage? And
that seems like a really loaded topic that I feel bad about if she's not here to defend herself. I don't know if we should all be talking about
in general.
I mean, we can pull it back. Yeah.
Okay. In general, though, there's a complete difference between saying, for example, the same would be if Travis Scott came out and said, if this group of people shows up to my concert, kill them. You have the right to kill them. That's not what Travis Scott said. Travis Scott saying, hey, get out of control. Like, that's not saying he stomp someone to death.
Sorry, Rob. So he literally tweeted out after the show was sold out, like, nah, we're still letting the wild ones in. Like, the wild ones, like, try to sneak in and stuff. Like,
that's not a direct call to death. And you could say that it's
not
definitely...
not death, of course. I mean, like, to sneak in and unsafe. He's promoting unsafe behavior, in my opinion.
All right, if we're going down that road, couldn't we argue that, like, I'm not here to stand for Travis Scott, but doesn't every fucking rock artist / rap artist encourage a whole bunch of fucking unsafe behavior, whether we're talking about like drugs or sneaking into concerts or, doing dumb shit? Like, I think that's kind of like par for the course, right?
I mean, Abby Hoffman had a book called Still This Book, to which System of a Down had an album called Still This Album. I don't think they were literally, everyone that got arrested for stealing that album, System of a Down's responsible. I don't think so.
Would you say it's comparable to the January 6th thing?
Jeez, we're really going for the loaded topic. So
listen, I'm very, very. I'll be straight up with you guys.
Can I just say,
he holds a lot of responsibility.
No. I think the difference here's like the problem. And honest to God, because you fucking Zoomers fuck the whole world up, okay? Because you're also brainless, okay? We can't use the argument anymore that like it's just entertainment or it's just a game. Because the thing is that like when Travis Scott says some shit, or at least it was the understanding when I was a kid, if your favorite artist says some shit like fuck some shit up, dude, right, buck the system, blah blah blah. Yeah, there's like to some extent there's like a metaphorical message there, but you're not actually supposed to go out and do that shit. It's entertainment. It's music, right? I think there's a fundamental difference between that and a political leader trying to, establish some reality about a political situation. So I would say that a politician, especially a head of state, has a lot more responsibility in their messaging than a music artist. I would say these things are worlds apart.
There's also there's like a voluntary aspect where everyone that signed up for the Travis Scott concert kind of like bought into that brand. So it's almost like I don't think they should be blamed, but they kind of knew what they were signing up for, more or less. Like, they didn't expect to die, but you want to be in that environment. I just want to clear up, like, the Capitol thing was like people went to like a different place where people didn't want them there. They tried to force their way in. That makes it different.
Go ahead, Ariana.
I don't think they signed up to die though. Like, I don't know if that's
for sure.
right thing.
No, but to be in a dangerous environment and you all want to like rage together and crazy shit happened. It sucks.
But raging happens all the time though. It very rarely ends up the way that it did now, like with Travis Scott's concert.
I mean, and also he's been arrested for this before, right? A guy fell out of the upper tier and got paralyzed, and he was arrested for that. Travis Scott, like,
didn't he not just like? I don't think the guy just fell. Didn't he tell him explicitly to jump?
He told him explicitly to jump off of the 3rd floor. That's the craziest part.
Yeah, he saw him. He's like, "I see you, boy. Jump. They're gonna catch you."
And he's paralyzed.
And he fell.
I mean,
I do hope he faced legal consequences for that, because that's like encouraging someone to do like attempted suicide or whatever. Like, what the fuck is that?
Well, so arrest is boring. Don't tell us who got arrested. Did he actually get like did he get convicted?
I'm pretty sure he got convicted on it, but
it would be interesting to know the actual convictions there, rather than, because you can get arrested for anything, right?
I think he was. Hang on 1 second.
So okay,
you go ahead, Ariana, while I read this.
So August 1st, 2015, he pled guilty to disorderly conduct and he paid a fine. And then on May 13th of 2015, he pled guilty to a misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and he also had to pay a fine. I don't know if this was exactly that situation, but he's definitely pled guilty multiple times to inciting riot and those kind of charges.
That's ridiculous. Fining a rich person, especially when that's worth it, because actually he'll get the publicity that's probably commensurate or more valuable than the money he's paying out in a fine, is not really a punishment. That's nothing.
Yeah, disorderly conduct's nothing. Like, that's a catch-all that you basically, all of us are probably guilty of disorderly conduct in multiple states every day. Like, if you're playing your music too loud, you can get arrested for disorderly conduct. Now, and again, I don't understand why that's relevant to the situation here. Again, that would be relevant in the sense that you would say, as a township, we don't want this guy here because we think that he's done horrible things in the past. But you can't, once you allow the venue to have him be there, then the question is what he did this specific time, is he responsible? And I haven't seen anything or even heard anything discussed here where he would be legally responsible for people dying just because he was like, hey, everybody rage out. That's what every artist, so many artists say.
Yeah, so I think the problem is that based on how we build this line of argumentation out, he's made bad statements. We're essentially saying Travis Scott has made bad statements in the past. If Travis Scott has ever made a bad statement, then anything that happens at his events is his fault. Something bad happened at this event, therefore it's his fault, right? I think that like premise 2 there kind of doesn't work, because what we're basically saying is no matter what happens at this concert, let's say he's like the most responsible person ever, and he's trying to say like, hey guys, be safe, blah, 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 blah. Like, would we still be having this conversation where people are like, well, look at his past tweets? Right? It feels like that would still happen. So I think we would be, right?
You think so? I would say. Go ahead. Sorry.
As he acts more reckless, and like that pattern is established, and he's not like changing course into like a better direction, he becomes more culpable for it because he has more time to appreciate like the damage he might cause.
Yeah, but if nothing has really happened that bad in the past, then why would he assume that, like, right, maybe it is for them all fun and games. A couple people get injured, it's a concert, whatever. But aside from that guy that jumped or whatever, or when he didn't die, right? If nobody's died.
Sorry, just to clarify what happened in that situation. Apparently the guy jumped and he was fine. He landed in the crowd. But later that night, someone in the crowd pushed someone else off the railing and that person broke their back.
Fuck.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's even more different. Yeah. I don't know if it's fair to assume then that like he should be like held so liable for this event because of tweets or lyrics that he's made in the past. We also have to be so careful for that. Not to be a First Amendment cuck, but like if we start holding artists like criminally responsible for stuff in their lyrics, we're drawing a very short line from there to like criminalizing certain forms of music or just certain lyrics altogether. I think we should be careful for that.
Can I just say that I think the big winner in all of this is Heemed, because he sold this as a topic. I thought this was going to go in dark.
I'm still committed to it. Listen, I'm going to debate you guys. I don't give a fuck, okay?
Look, kudos. Tip of the cap to you. Yeah.
Listen, I think that if you're an artist and there's an ambulance with sirens on stuck in the crowd, that the very least you can do is say, hey, move out of the way for the ambulance. Not say, put your middle fingers in the air if you're okay and we go on to the next song. There's literally
there was literally a guy dancing on the ambulance too.
Yeah.
Like you saw that. Like he was dancing on the ambulance to the point where the ambulance couldn't even move, even if they did open up the crowd, because there were people on top of the ambambulance.
Yeah, there were several people dancing on the ambulance. It was kind of not good.
So that I'm
shocked at how little you guys think that he's responsible for this. Like,
it's a scary line because when you start holding people responsible here, and then also the direct course of action is hard to say, right? So we say like he should have stopped the show. So if we've learned anything after all the BLM stuff, after all the concert stuff, after everything, right? Controlling huge groups of people is really fucking hard. I don't know how safe that environment becomes if Travis Scott literally stops playing music and the whole crowd starts to get like edgy. I don't know. Like again, that was one of the concerns I was asking about the police department.
That's not the question. I think the thing, like, this is almost like, I know the fire in the crowded theater isn't technically like against freedom of speech, but this is a situation where the ambulance is right in front of you. You can see the crowd, and you can, as with that power, the guy with the microphone, you can cajole them to like do the right thing and like make
just
way
move a little.
And like to do the opposite of that and be like, fuck it, Rage, we're not going to shut it down.
Yeah, exactly.
It like gasses people up, and they're just more bad shit to happen.
As to the point Destiny was making, that this is has precedent. I think was it in the early 90s, a Guns N' Roses concert ended up with some people dying when there was basically a riot because they were breaking off chairs and throwing them on the stage, and they just decided to stop the concert, and a fucking riot ensued, and like
you could say
got burnt down, you know.
This is what I would do if I was Travis Scott. I would say, all right, move it out. The quicker the ambulance gets in and out, the quicker we restart it. So like everybody comply. It's easy. Like this is not a hard thing to do.
He did stop the concert for a moment, though. There was someone who was hurt, and he was like, "Whoa!" And then he told them to move. He stopped the song. I'm not sure if he was in the middle of the song or in between a song, but that did happen. And then EMS or whatever were able to get them and then get them out. But
I think the thing that you guys were bringing up about the police saying that if they were stopped, there was a danger that the crowd would have rioted or whatever. I think Destiny brought that up. Underneath that, the fire marshal said, yeah, but that's like if you stop the show completely, like end the concert. But as the person that has the mic, they have the most ability to control the crowd, and to put a temporary pause is basically what's being asked of him here. And
sure, that might have been reasonable.
But to me, it's unreal.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, it sounds like he's a dick. I don't know that that's criminally actionable. I don't even know if it's civilly actionable. Like, yeah, the guy's a jerk. Like I said, I would like to think that all of us, if we were an artist and we were on stage, that we would be like, hey, whoa, looks like there's something there. Let's stop until we get this person to safety, and then we'll keep going. That seems to be the reasonable thing to say. But, I don't know what it's like to have the adrenaline to be in front of, that many people and have this persona that you've put out there. So you're just like, yeah, fuck it. Because I don't think that, did he know that someone got crushed? I mean, he could be thinking someone OD'd, someone had a heat stroke, whatever. Like, I'm just going to keep playing. Again, it's a dick move, but I don't know that it's criminal.
I would also say, like, I really like in the United States this idea that like incitement to riot that's a very, very serious type of thing, and you need like some directly actionable stuff there. Because if we just start saying that like there's so much that could maybe be an incitement to riot, if we're like, well, he's got violent lyrics, blah 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 blah, that probably is going to put a lot of other speech in the crosshairs that we don't want to do that with.
Maybe that's why we shouldn't have said Trump incited a riot when he just said go over there peacefully.
Yeah, so this is why my exact position on that was I believe Trump absolutely incited a riot, but I wouldn't want him like criminally charged with it, because then there's theoretically all sorts of private speech or public speech that could count as like inciting a riot, right? When somebody stirs up a lot of trouble about like we think the police are unfair, and then like there's a BLM protest and it turns into a riot, like are they responsible for that? I think that that's a really bad precedent to set. I think that inciting a riot should be like you need a very specific call to action there. And absent that, I mean, we can talk about like a moral incitement to riot or whatever, but like the legal charge should be reserved only for those cases.
Now, I agree. Do you think that Travis Scott morally, not legally, but like morally incited a riot?
I don't have the concert background to know what the standard expectation. So like a lot of people posted, for instance, a Linkin Park concert. This was all over Reddit, obviously.
I saw that one as well.
Yeah, and they were like, "Hey guys, like stop, we don't get hurt." Blah, blah. I don't. If that was standard practice in all concerts, then I'm looking down on Scott Travis pretty hardcore. But if that's like a pretty unique thing, and most people don't do that, and most artists just expect their concert goers kind of take care of themselves, then I don't really think that much. But this comes down to like what is like the concert going precedent for artists, and I just don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry, did I say Scott Travis?
Yeah, you did.
I've only been to two concerts, so and one of those were really small. So I don't know. I have seen like videos of other artists doing that, but I'm not sure if that's a common thing or how common it is for an artist to see something in the crowd and then stop the show for a moment and ask for like security or something. I don't know. So
I've been to a Kendrick Lamar concert, and Drake showed up randomly, and as soon as Drake showed up,
What?
I've been to a Lamar Kendrick concert, okay, a Lamar Kendrick concert, and that Drake comes on, and literally the same thing happened. And the reason that I'm very like I guess maybe you can say I'm like emotionally invested into this is because the same thing happened where the entire crowd pushed forward, and I felt like at that moment, like anything could happen. I could literally get trampled. I could die. Like you feel like your life is out of your, like you have no control over anything that's going to happen. So I don't know, to know that that's happening in the crowd and to not stop it. And then even at this concert, after this happened, Drake came on and like further agitated the crowd, so he's being sued for it too. It's like, I don't know, while I agree that maybe there isn't like an official standard, it's like the standard, like Rob was saying, is just don't be a dick, like be a good person. Like when you see an ambulance in a crowd and you have the ability to move the crowd open, I don't know, maybe that should be the standard.
Wow. Like, I wonder if there's like going to be civil action against if there was a security company or the fire marshals. Like, just in the little town where I live, if there's a concert at one of the bars, fire marshals sit there, and when there's too many people in the building, they're like, that's it, no one else could come in. And if it gets out of hand, the fire marshal will just stop it right there. Like, it has nothing to do with the artist could say, no, I want to keep playing. Sorry, tough luck. So I wonder if there was culpability for, sort of law enforcement type people that, maybe it was out of their hands. Maybe they tried to stop it and couldn't. I don't know. I haven't read about that, but
All right.
From what I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong, just to make sure. This is like a pretty new thing. We're still getting a lot of information. From what I've read and heard so far is that it was called a mass casualty event about 40 minutes before it actually ended, and Travis did finish his set for that. And so people are looking at the police for, did they really need to let the set keep going? Could they at the very least told Travis to pause or get a hold of anyone for that?
Yeah, it was announced a mass casualty event at 9:38 p.m. and then the performance stopped at 10:10. So that's about 32 minutes from when it was announced to be a mass casualty event and when the concert actually ended. So but here's the thing though, like calling Travis a dick, I don't even know if, like, there's so many players in this. Apple and Hulu were apparently streaming. Travis was at the concert. Drake was coming on as a guest, so they also had obligations to him. There were sponsors. Like, there's so many different players in this.
What is it with Drake turning up and starting riots?
It's something fucking wrong with Aubrey.
Shouldn't he be watching the Raptors?
I hate Aubrey. Fuck that guy. He's killing people. He's a demon.
True.
Jesus.
True.
This isn't new, by the way. If you want to see it even more crazy, I think it was 79. The Stones played at a place called Altamont, and they hired the Hells Angels as security, and then they stabbed a guy to death. Like, that happened. Like, for there's
wait,
rock and roll as a
did the guy deserve it? What happened?
I don't. Well,
more information.
The Hells Angels claimed he deserved it, but I mean that situation. Obviously, if you're hiring, a motorcycle gang to be your security, things could get crazy. So, I mean, Woodstock 99, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened there. Like, they were charging people like $40 for bottles of water, and people were having heat strokes and stuff. So, I mean, those are situations I think that it's more clear cut that the people that put on the show had sort of negligence to the point where it could have rose to a criminal or at least a civil level. I haven't heard anything other than Travis Scott was a dick that didn't say, hey, everybody pause for a minute. I'm not really concerned about his past behavior or him saying everybody rage. Like, that's nothing. That's 90% of the concerts I went to said stuff like that. It's on the crowd to know that, look, there's a limit to this. You can't, and you're absolutely right, Heem. I've been to concerts that aren't even concerts that you would consider violent. If you're up front and you're against that gate and the people start pushing, particularly like when the band comes out, sometimes you feel like all the air is coming out of you. I've seen security have to pull people over the gate many, many times because of that. But I think that any of those concerts I were at, if someone was really struggling, they would be like, whoa, help that person out. Travis Scott apparently just didn't notice or give a shit, I guess.
All right, Rob, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rob, so what if I'm on stage? All right, I'm on stage, I'm vibing, I'm doing my set, and then someone reaches up on stage and takes my goddamn shoe. All right. And then I look at the person and I go, beat his ass. I go to the crowd, look at that guy, beat his ass. Am I culpable there if that guy gets hurt?
Yes.
Okay.
If you direct violence towards someone and then violence isn't acted upon them, I think so.
Damn,
I think Travis Scott. I mean, there's been Axl Rose made a career out of trying to beat the shit out of people taking flash photography at his shows, or yelling at people or trying to steal their cameras and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, at that level, you're certainly more.
Yeah, but Axl Rose reminds me of the picture from the painting of Dorian Gray. Like, all of the fucking evil has come back to haunt him, man. He looks fucking rough. Looks like someone dredged his corpse out of a canal.
Has anyone taken into consideration that flash photography can give you a headache? So it may be assault, honestly.
All right, fuck this. All right.
He was on lots of heroin, so I feel like that might be a bigger problem.
He's sensitive.
All right, listen, I'm getting bored of this topic. You guys,
I started bored of the fucking topic.
I cannot believe
person that picked the topic too.
I can't believe you guys don't think he's that responsible. I think he's very responsible.
I don't know what he knew.
I just don't know what he knew. I agree with you. I think he is.
Okay, let me tell you things that I think he knew, okay? I think he knew that people rushed the security gate, and there's video footage of this where literally they're pushing over the security gate and rushing in, and it's over capacity. I think he knew that there's
over capacity, just so you know.
It wasn't over capacity. It wasn't over capacity for the venue, but it was over capacity for the security they had hired, for the security personnel that they had.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. And it was, and also there was an ambulance with a siren on stuck in the crowd. And instead of figuring out like, hey, how am I going to figure this out? He said, put your middle fingers in the air if you want to continue the show. To me, all of these are gross negligence, and he should be held fully responsible for this.
Hey,
he doesn't.
You've squeezed.
He doesn't care, but neither does anyone on his team.
All right. Let me go before we move on. All right, we're moving on. Before we do though, I want to get your predictions.
This topic's so fucking boring. 2 people have left.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing here, Heem?
All right, shh. I'm still new at this.
Heem's career falling apart before his eyes.
All right, quick times before we move on. Do you guys think that he will go to jail for this? Yes or no? Let's go, Ariana.
No way. Oh, sorry.
Well, as of right now, as of today, there's over 100 lawsuits that have been filed against Travis Scott and Live Nation put together. There were 300 people that were treated on site. Over 25 people, or a little bit over 25 people were transported to the hospital. Do I think he's going to jail for it? Probably not. Usually rich people don't. But I definitely think he's liable. I mean, okay, here's the thing. When you're on stage, you can see everything. I don't care what anyone says. You can see and you can hear. I mean, there's video footage of people screaming, help me, at the same time, synchronized. And there was a pause. He stopped singing. He stopped rapping, whatever he was doing. The people started all together saying, stop the show for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then he went on to the next song. I mean, there's video footage of him standing about 10 feet away from a person getting resuscitated on the ground, and he's on above them. So yeah, 100%, he's definitely liable for this. I don't care. It goes beyond him being a dick. This is just unacceptable. It hasn't happened for decades. He should definitely be held responsible. Will he? I don't know. I mean, Kylie Jenner is his baby mama, so I'm not too convinced, Okay. But I definitely do think he's liable, and he should definitely go down for this. I mean, whether it was only his fault or not only his fault, people trusted to go to his concert. They trusted that they would be able to at least walk out alive, and he didn't give that to them. So yeah, I think he should go down for it, 100%. Okay. But will he? I don't think so.
Okay, Kevin, jail or no jail?
I don't think so, unless there's some sort of malfeasance on the organisational end and they can get him on corporate manslaughter or something. I don't see him going to jail for anything that we currently are aware of, unfortunately.
Rob, what do you think?
No, I don't think he'll go to jail. Right. I'm sure there'll be civil action, and I don't think he should. Also, I'll take a bone of contention with, if you're on stage, you can see everything that's happening in a crowd of 50,000. I don't believe that. I mean, I've been on stage in front of 500 people, and I couldn't see everything that was going on there. Now I think it's evident that he saw an ambulance. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, you can see that one.
But as far as what caused that ambulance, he probably had no clue. And so I agree with Kevin. Based on what I've heard here, I don't see a reason for him to go to jail. And even if I don't think he's going to jail.
All right, Dr. DrRedPill, quick yes or no? Is he going to go to jail?
Yeah, no jail. He's a dick, but like Destiny said, it's important to like protect that and like keep that precedent.
The dickness, the ability to be a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the First Amendment but the ability to be a dick? Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty
That's
sure.
true. All right. Destiny, you agree, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
All right. Shark, you agree? No jail?
Yeah, he won't go to jail for this at all. I mean, it's gonna look really bad on him. Just publicly, he'll 100% lose in the court of public opinion. But in actual court, I know more likely than not this won't lead to him serving any jail time at all. All I gotta say is I want to hold off on saying like what he actually knew until like some court things happen or he says what happens. I just want to hold off on that personally, but I do think that we can assume that he saw at least something but didn't act. But for me, all I wish is that him and Aubrey had fun playing skee ball at Dave & Buster's when they got done.
All right. There you go. First topic's done. You guys are all wrong on this. I'm right, and we're gonna move on to the next topic. All right. Next topic is, hold on, let me change this up. The one you all came for. All right. Kyle Rittenhouse situation has taken the nation by storm. This week, Kyle testified on stand and broke down into tears. Some are saying these were crocodile tears. Some are saying they weren't. What is your read on the case so far? And furthermore, do you think Kyle Rittenhouse was fake crying to garner sympathy? Or, and then additionally, we can get into a discussion about armed protesting after dark, or anything else related to this. So this one is more open-ended. I'm going to throw it over to, let's go over to DrRedPill first on this one. And then we'll do we'll make the rounds. Go ahead.
Yeah, overall, I think he was totally justified in his self-defense. When it comes to the crying, I'm always skeptical with people when I see them incentivized to show emotion. They do it. I was actually convinced by his reaction. I think it's really hard for most people to act that well, and I think he did a good job pulling it off if he was faking it. And as far as people criticizing it, I think there's probably a lot of hypocrites out there who, because they don't like him or like what they think he stands for, they feel justified in attacking him. I do think it's a little gross, and I personally think it's legitimate, his emotional reaction. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's go over to Ariana.
Yeah, I'm gonna go completely opposite. I don't know if he. Here's the thing: I'm kind of torn. I do believe that guns are a big culture in America. It's kind of a part of the South, a big part of the South. But I'm not sure why he was there. He's not from there, although his dad is. He said he was there to protect property. I'm not sure how he's tied to the property. I can go into detail, but I feel like when he rose his gun to shoot the first person, which was actually Joseph, he could have at least waited a couple of seconds to see what his reaction was. He just kind of went and shot off 4 rounds. Whether his crying was real or not, I'm not totally convinced, but I'm not him, so I don't know. But yeah, I believe in defending yourself, but with this case specifically and where he was at and why he was there, what he was doing there, the situation in which he actually fired that gun, I'm not totally convinced that it was self-defense. That's just me though.
Okay, let's go over to Mr. Noerr.
Yeah, I believe his tears were real. I've known people that had to I watched them cry even though they were legally justified. Taking someone's life's no joke. I assume no one on this panel has it. And even if you act with bravado and you try to keep your composure most of the time after that, when forced to relive it under a harrowing experience like testifying in your own trial where you could face many years in prison, sure, that's an emotional thing. The people that are laughing and joking about it are ghouls, and that's fine. They can do what they want. That's all right to be shitty about it. I'm sure they would be the first to scream if someone on the right picked on Alec Baldwin for killing someone, if he cried about it. All that shit's terrible. Like, I feel the same with Baldwin. You killed someone. That's emotional. Now, if you were a cold-blooded killer and went out there intent to kill, that's different. But I believe Kyle, and like DrRedPill said, that would be a hell of an acting job. It looked totally legitimate to me. As far as this case, why was he there? He was there because so many of you on the left ignored or justified justified riots occurring over and over again, didn't want the police to intervene, and didn't want the National Guard to intervene. So as me and many other people said, inevitably that will allow people to say, well, if no one's going to defend us, we will come together ourselves to defend our property. He lived 20 minutes away. It's where he worked. It's where his dad lived. It's where his family lived. He spent a lot of time there. He absolutely had the right to be there. It was unfortunate that someone's life was taken, but he was absolutely justified based on watching this trial and doing so. The first person he shot, he was running away from, and he heard a gunfire behind him. When he turned, the guy was on top of him and was attempting to grab his gun. The progressive Brat says, well, maybe she could have waited a couple more seconds. Yeah, he could be dead, too, if he waited a couple more seconds. Anyone who's a maniac enough to chase someone open carrying an AR-15 in that way obviously had ill intent and intended to harm him. So, I think one good thing that could come out of this trial is you see a lot of people on the left that were under misapprehensions about this, even though many of us saw the video and knew it was going on months and months ago. And so you see a lot of people on the left that are publicly saying, I can't believe how bad the mainstream media lied. Even people thinking he shot black people, even though he never did, and making this racial.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Let's go over to Shark.
Sure. On the thing when it comes to whether he was fake crying, I don't like to, for me personally, and I just may have, I haven't been in Twitch politics for too long, so maybe my heart is still pure and clean, but I don't like to inject malice where I just don't know if it actually is there, just personally, just so I don't know if he's faking. It does benefit him, obviously, to fake crying if he was going to fake cry. 100%. I didn't care to watch him cry, so I can't tell you. For me it doesn't matter whether or not he did, really, when it comes to the case. It just doesn't matter that much. But I would just say, like, for me, I would I would just say for my lefty people, just be careful what you say if you can't, like, 100% back that up, like, on the spot. It's just like, it can just be a bad look sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. When it comes to a lot of these Facebook militias and people trying to take the law into their own hands and try to be like a little arm of the police, a lot of problems can come from that. And obviously that's what happened. I mean, thankfully the police were able to stop 2 other people who were coming up from doing their own like little militia thing as well, and could have easily killed more people. It's just like, I can understand the frustration of a community that would be that's had like rioting done. Obviously, that feels bad, I would imagine. But these militias going to these places, we've seen over and over and over again, especially in Portland. We've seen in like Louisville and many other places that these right-wing militias show up and they just make the situation incredibly worse. They lead to more death. They lead to more violence, and we've seen that over and over again. So even if their purported values are to protect communities, they end up killing more people at the end of the day. So, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Let's go over to Mr. Destiny.
Whether or not Kyle had a right to be there, I think is still, actually, I don't even think that's a material in the trial anymore. I think the curfew thing was tossed out as not being legally enforced or legally enforceable because it wasn't set up like in a legal manner. Whether or not he had a right to be there morally, I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know that he had just as much a right to be there as any of the protesters did. So if you think that any of them had a right to be there, then he absolutely had a right to be there. Maybe even more so than any of the protesters there. So I think that's a pretty easy one. I think if you followed like the facts of the case, I would have never comfortably called this a year ago, although I said it definitely looked a certain way because things can come out. There could be new video footage that could show like, hey, well, this happened or this happened that makes things look different. I think we've seen all the progress of the trial now. There hasn't been any new footage. It seems to be exactly as it appeared to be a year ago. It was pretty obviously self-defense. I don't think anybody is seriously contending with that anymore. And then in terms of the whole crying or fake crying thing, I'm really glad that he cried on the when he was giving testimony, because I can see how many like fake fuck lefties that pretend to care about or understand anything about like panic attacks or trauma or any of that stuff have come out of the woodwork. You've got people that will like have breakdowns and cry because people said mean stuff to them on Twitter, but somehow can't believe that a 17-year-old is having a breakdown after killing 2 people. That is actually hilariously, phenomenally stupid to me. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that.
Okay. And then let's go over to Kevin.
Yeah. In terms of whether he was crying or not, it looked fake as fuck, but it doesn't really matter. It's not materially relevant to the case at all. I hope he goes to jail. I think personally he is a murderer. I don't think self-defense is remotely acceptable given the circumstances around it. If you just look at the tiny little video clip, it looks like, oh, he's being attacked. He was defending himself, but I don't think that's really applicable given that he drove there and he put himself in that situation and was acting like a prick. And indeed, actually on Friday, the judge said that he would allow the jury to consider the prosecution's case on that front, which I think is a hopeful sign. But whether you can necessarily prove in a court of law that he's a murderer, I don't really know. I'm not an expert in Wisconsin law, and neither is anyone else here. But yeah, I think the Kyle Rittenhouse case has been an interesting litmus test. People who've been out there riding his dick have shown themselves completely, and I will certainly never forget it.
Okay. Now, before we go into the open discussion, I'm going to use this opportunity to say subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm almost at 10,000 subs. Let's get to 10,000 subs, and make sure you follow me on Twitch. Okay. All right. Now that I got the plug out of the way, let's go into open discussion. DrRedPill, you've got your hand up. Lead it off.
I'm convinced that anyone who thinks it wasn't justified self-defense is ignorant of a lot of the facts. So I think if I'm going to ask you right now, if you can just outline how the events went chronologically and see if you can fill in it fairly thoroughly, I think you're going to be missing some seriously key things. I think people have a tendency, if you don't like him and you want to believe one thing, you're just not going to seek out the evidence in a very thorough way. When Destiny did that, and he could go either way. He's pretty centrist in this way. He searched thoroughly and fell strongly on the self-defense side. So can I ask the progressive Brat to just take us through the events chronologically? I can do it if you want. I think I have a fairly comprehensive view of what.
Why don't you do it? You do it. You go ahead and do it yourself.
Well, I don't think they know. I just want to see if they know, or ask them if they.
Yeah, I don't have to prove myself to you based off of my thoughts. I'm a progressive. That's how I think. If you want to go over the events chronologically, Joseph was not armed, and he was actually released from the hospital for trying to attempt suicide that same day that he was shot. So I'm not going to have you as a man try to question my intelligence on this case. We're not about to do that. So if you want to go over the steps, you can, for sure. But I said my opinion. So I don't know why you only pointed me out of everyone else in this panel. It's kind of interesting that you did that. But I'm going to let you do that because I'm not going to answer that.
This is a super quick thing. I'll shut up. We are all here to justify our thoughts. That's why we're on a panel. You don't go to a panel to talk about politics. Say, I'm not going to explain myself to you. Then why are you on the panel? Well, of course, that's what we're here for.
Well, no, I think it's I don't know.
Because he pointed me out specifically.
Yeah, I'll you gave the least fact-based take about the event, so it's not surprising that you did, right?
And if I could try to lower the heat here, I think what she's trying to say is this: I'm a progressive, so I don't care about facts, and fuck you, you're a man.
When did I
sum that up? All right, everyone, chill. Guys, chill. Okay. What? Chill. Everyone chill. I don't like.
Thanks for lowering the temperature, Rob.
You are not about to speak to me like that. You're not. Just because we don't agree with each other, you
Rob,
cannot disrespect me like that, and I will not allow you to disrespect me like that.
Okay.
Yeah, keep laughing.
No, I muted him. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, I muted you. Just chill. Okay. All right. I don't like this testing other panelists. Okay. If you want to bring up the facts of the case, DrRedPill, just go ahead and do that. Go ahead.
So just to be clear, when you talk about Rosenbaum was unarmed, I agree he was just released with mental issues. There's video of him earlier in the night. I would like to did you see video of him antagonizing the crowd and being very aggressive people and saying shoot me, shoot me, did you see
I saw all of that. I just don't. He had his life taken that day, and he clearly had mental health issues. That's my thing. I feel like when you raise a gun, I saw the prosecution, I saw him speak on both sides, okay? I feel like when he rose the gun, he could have waited a couple of seconds because he was unarmed. Joseph was unarmed. So I feel like it's justified to pull the gun or the AR-15 and kind of say okay, is he going to continue running towards me or not? Because he did not have any lethal weapons on him at that point. That's my only take. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on. Can I ask one question? Do you think it would change? Would it change your mind if Rosenbaum had gotten close enough to grab his gun? Would that have changed your mind on that?
I think we could talk about that, but he didn't. So
okay, I rest my entire case.
How far away do you think he was when he was shot, Rosenbaum? You think 20 feet, 15 feet? What do you think?
No, he was really close.
I think it's very interesting that the conversation is so focused
on the facts. It is interesting, isn't it? Doesn't that suck?
Okay, the self-defense.
I want to hear Kevin. Kevin, go ahead.
The self-defense right of Kyle Rittenhouse, but not the self-defense of anyone else there that got fucking shot up. Those people.
Because when you attack somebody, you can't claim self-defense. That's not a funny thing. That's just like obvious. If I walk up to you and I start beating the shit out of you, and then you shoot me, I can't say I was defending myself when I killed you for trying to kill you.
Just on a brief point, because both you and DrRedPill mentioned this, the idea that you're some sort of centrist who looked at the facts. You called it the day it fucking happened. We all heard your fucking bullshit at the time. You called it straight away. You didn't give a fuck.
I won't take credit for that. But if I were to take credit for that, I was exactly 100% right.
No, you fucking weren't.
I absolutely was. Every single part. So number one. Number two, I actually said multiple times while covering it, there might be footage that could be released of Kyle Rittenhouse that shows him acting in a highly provocative manner right before the camera starts rolling. Now, it seems unlikely given what we've seen, but it's possible. I said that on the day of the case as well. Unlike you progressives, I don't sit here and try to fucking say exactly what happened on every single case the second that it fucking comes out. Which, by the way...
Yeah, Destiny, you don't know me, so that's what we're not about to do. You don't know me.
No, hang on, Ariana. I don't think you've seen me.
Wait. That is.
Yeah, I don't think. Wait, can I? Wait, hang on. Sorry. So I invited Ariana. She's never done Twitch panels. I don't think he was talking about you specifically. Destiny's had this experience with like a lot of progressives, right, Destiny?
Yes.
You're talking broadly, right? You're not talking. Yeah, you're not talking. He's not talking about you specifically.
He's got like Twitter PTSD or some shit.
Yeah. I feel so crazy about this case because this is like one of the most obvious cases of all time. So was the Jacob Blake one, which by the way is what led to the Kenosha riots, where that guy got shot by the cops in an entirely reasonable manner, and he should have been. It was absolutely 100% reasonable. And the misinformation surrounding that shooting is what led then to 2 more people dying and 1 other person being shot by Kyle Rittenhouse 2 days later. And we're repeating it again. You guys are just going to run through the same hamster loop of lying about the facts of the matter and then trying to come to absurd conclusions that are not reality based, and then getting mad at people when they get upset because people are saying, oh, the left-wing media or mainstream media is lying about shit. Why do you keep doing this?
It's interesting. Can I just point out, I think it's really interesting that you're going to blame other people for inciting violence when we all know your most famous clip of
First
you
of all,
literally doing that.
Do you understand that you've pivoted 3 times to just try to character assassinate me without responding to anything I'm saying, right? It's funny that like we can start.
I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Well, we all know you're on his dick. Yeah, that's fine.
First of all, I'm not on anybody's dick, number 1. Number 2, if you don't care what I have to say, then why are you at a political panel? Okay. And then number 3, if you don't care what I have to say, why are you responding to me? And why do you keep bringing up the like, isn't it interesting, this unrelated fact that I could use to try to attack you with? If you want to attack any of my statements, I'll defend any statement I've made. I'm just saying that it's really upsetting that about this particular case where there is an unprecedented amount of video footage available, everybody has proven to the world that the amount of information available doesn't matter because people will pick and choose and watch what they want. When the facts of the case can be laid out so cleanly with this, that it was pretty obviously self-defense. So the progressive Brat, you didn't seem aware of this, but Rosenbaum grabbed Kyle's fucking rifle before Kyle shot. There wasn't another second that he could wait on it. Okay, there wasn't more time that he could have waited to shoot at him.
He literally admitted in the trial that Rosenbaum hadn't touched him.
His rifle. He touched his rifle. He had his hands.
Also, are we just going to ignore the fact that Joseph was literally there and he lied about being an EMT? He lied about being actively in nursing school. Are we just going to lie about?
You mean
he was literally walking around the sidewalk and he was asking people if they needed first aid help while he was holding the AR-15. Are you going to get medical attention?
Let her finish, guys.
Wait a minute. AR-15.
None of that mattered. None of that is relevant to self-defense. Literally, none of those facts would deprive him of his right to self-defense.
Right, and if I could look at what the progressive Brat said, so basically she's gone into the history of some of who Rittenhouse was and some of who Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum had depression and he just got out of all of this is irrelevant. That is all irrelevant as to what happened there. Not only did he grab the gun, but if you watch the film that was out the day that this sort of became national news, you could see that Rittenhouse is running away from him for blocks, and right before Rosenbaum reaches for his gun, another person fires a gun behind him. So imagine that you're fleeing a scene, someone's chasing you. Not only is this person chasing you, but the person knows you're armed with an AR-15. Think of how insane someone would have to be to try to actively get into a fist fight and attack someone who's open carrying an AR-15. So you're running, trying to de-escalate the situation. You hear a gunshot behind you. You immediately turn, and a man is grabbing your gun. What did you want him to do? You said, well, maybe if he grabbed his gun, he would have been dead. Rosenbaum would have took the gun and shot him. Then what? He had a right to defend himself.
Can I ask a question? Okay, I want to ask a few questions here just to clarify. Okay, first of all, he was not allowed to have the AR-15, right?
I think that charge has been dropped. No, we don't know that. That charge has been dropped. Sorry. So he was allowed to have it. Yes.
So what do you mean when you say it was dropped? Like,
so the problem is that the wordage of the verbiage of that law is incredibly vague. So people don't know if he was allowed to or not. And I think the judge's ruling was, unless the prosecution can prove that it was a short barrel rifle, I think they said that they were going to drop the charge. It might still be up for contention. Some people saying, but my understanding was that they had to prove that it was a short barrel rifle to say that it was actually illegal for him to be holding that rifle.
Okay. Had he had a handgun, that would have been illegal, I believe, in that same circumstance.
Wait, so handgun is illegal, but AR you're allowed to have?
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Welcome to the United States. We have all sorts of crazy weird gun laws here.
What the fuck? That's wild.
And that question, and just real quick, Keem, that question is.
Also, I can't endorse any of this. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not speaking. My position on this is in a different direction.
This could be brought forth. I was willing to withhold judgment until I saw the prosecution's case. The prosecution presented nothing new. And in fact, there was more evidence that the FBI appeared to be withholding that actually was a clearer picture that seems to exonerate Rittenhouse as a case to self-defense. But the questions of, but wait a minute, why did he cross state lines? And was that gun legally? That's all irrelevant to the case of self-defense. If he committed some misdemeanor or something like that, the curfew charge has been dropped. But hypothetically, the curfew charge, okay, that doesn't make him a murderer. He clearly had the right to defend himself, period.
The reason I bring up, and then I'll go to DrRedPill next, and then Shark, if you want to jump into, just put your hand up if you want. The reason I bring this up is because it seems to me like if he wasn't allowed to bring the AR-15 and he did, that's like agitating the situation a little bit on its own as well. That's basically the reason that Gage
wasn't allowed. Gage wasn't Mr. ACLU. Gage wasn't allowed to have that pistol yet that he pointed at. He pointed at Rittenhouse, and then lowered it, and then pointed again. Yet he's on Anderson Cooper yesterday, perjury, claiming he committed perjury because on the stand he admitted that he didn't get shot until he pointed the gun at Rittenhouse. Yet he goes on Anderson Cooper and says, I was just a medic. I'm from the ACLU. And again, this is exactly what Destiny said. You're going to see riots because the media is gaslighting people just like they did about Jacob Blake. And when you have people that make excuses for these riots and not only make excuses for them, but actually misinform people with the facts of the case, of course, eventually the other side, other people that feel their community is being destroyed, is going to stand up. And it's going to keep happening. And it's sad to see so many people on the left, just because they don't like Rittenhouse politics or they like the politics of the people rioting, which is more specific, they're going to say that he should go to jail. What is it that you want? You don't want the police involved. You don't want the National Guard involved. You don't want the people to defend their own property. So like I'd ask Progressive Brat and Kevin Logan, what should have happened? The people of Kenosha should just say, well, we don't have the right to do anything, so just leave our town burn until the Democrats feel that it's
a 17-year-old vigilante with an AR-15. Okay, if that's who you want to defend your property, I guess that's on you, because that's not really what I would want.
I don't. I want the police.
What they would ideally want is the police to defend it.
Yes.
We have now where everybody's saying the police is an institution of white nationalism, white supremacy. So also, I'm sorry, but this is the United States
Who's
of America.
Who's saying white nationalism? Okay? Who said it's an institution of white nationalism?
What do you, like, the entire ACAB ideology is the idea that the police institution...
Oh no, white supremacy, but not white nationalism.
Okay.
That is a different thing.
My bad.
It's not splitting hairs. You can have black people in a white supremacy system. A white nationalism would be removal of black people from the country.
That's fair.
So my bad. A white supremacist system. I'm so sorry for misspeaking there. You're very welcome. Right. So if people don't want cops showing up and doing whatever they can to get rid of crowds like this, which I don't imagine any of us do, then obviously people are going to take up their legal right to bear arms and defend their communities. Like that's what you should expect. That's the next step. People aren't just going to lay down and watch their entire cities burn for no reason.
There were cops there.
No, to be clear, okay, we just had a conversation, okay, about how in a pre-planned event, okay, cops couldn't even control people from dying in a fucking mosh pit at a concert. Why do we think that police officers are going to be able to stop an entire, like, protest going on in a city? This is Kenosha. What is this, population, like, 100,000 or less? Like, this is a small town. Unless you literally calling in the National Guard in advance, you're never going to have the personnel required to stop these types of protests. That's why you let them burn themselves out. You just kind of direct people around until they get tired and go home.
And not only that, but the governor denied a request to send the National Guard, and put yourself in the position of the police. So you just had almost the entire national media malign the police in Kenosha for shooting Jacob Blake unjustly. He was just this poor unarmed man that the police shot 7 times in the back. That was the story that was told. So they didn't want the police there. The police were horrible. They're killers. So the police were like, okay, we're going to stand back. Ironically, did you even know this? Rittenhouse ran to the police. That's who he was running to.
So, Rob, because people were mean to the police get to just not do their job anymore.
Did you want them? Did you want them to arrest the Black Lives Matter protesters? Is that what you would have been for?
If they're rioting, that's a different matter, but not protesters. But the point is, you've just said because the media were mean to the people, the police just stood back and went, "Well, police it yourself then." Like that's
no. It's why do we have these complicated? Why do we have these complicated? Wait, hold on. That argument. Every time we talk about oppression of minorities in the United States, okay, we have an incredibly multifaceted, class-based, systemic discussion of all the factors involved that make people do the things that they do, okay? And when a conservative shows up and they're like, I think black people kill each other because of their culture and rap music, we rightfully scorn them and say, come on, that's an incredibly stupid way of analyzing like the confluence of social factors that come together to make people act the way they do. But then when we look at police, we go, oh, well, police don't want to do things just because of the media? Like, wait,
no. I was saying that's what Rob was outlining. I'm not saying that's what actually happened.
No. If Rob's saying that, okay, Rob is saying that might be one reason why a lot of police officers feel discouraged across the United States. That's totally fucking fair, right? You had 3 cops in the most easily.
They could stop making a rod for their own back by being shit and
but the problem is
the wagons.
But the problem is half the reasons why you think their shit are fucking fabricated by people that don't read the fucking facts of the case. Yeah. So going on the Kenosha thing,
true, but they still do murders. Murders still fucking take place.
We have a country
rarely held accountable.
Okay, if I show you one murder every single day unjustified of a cop killing somebody in the United States, do you think that's a bad thing?
Well, yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, what do I mean is that we live in a nation of 330 million people. Yep. We're not going to have a perfect system anywhere in the entire world where 0 bad things happen ever. There's always going to be some bad apples. There's going to be some bad situations. That's fine, right? If you show me, even if you showed me 52 cases a year where a cop enacted violence that was past what they should have, that doesn't even necessarily mean there's a problem, right? We have 330 million people. We have, over 100,000, I think, active police in the United States. It's a huge number of police. You're going to have some bad interactions. And the Jacob Blake thing, the thing that initially that started these riots was probably arguably one of the most justified police shootings of all time that they all got destroyed for because everybody said that it was just cops shooting an unarmed black man in the back 6 times for no reason.
That's the media. That's the media's fault. And just real quick, look, the media does a horrible job of fully reporting on these things. And there's this feedback loop. The media does not report accurately on the Jacob Blake situation. The public is outraged by the stuff they do see. They go out and riot. The police and the police chiefs are reticent to let their officers control it because there's this political pressure on the top hierarchy of police. And they're telling the foot soldiers not to intervene. And the foot soldiers are disgruntled because they can't intervene. They see all this bullshit happening around them. And the people above them are telling them not to do anything because the media is making a political situation.
But it's not just
I'm here from Kevin.
It's not you can't say it's just the media. The media don't.
It's a part of the feedback.
I'm not saying they don't contribute, obviously, because they're a huge part of the cultural zeitgeist and all the rest of it. But I don't think you can say it's just a matter of the media creating a narrative. Black people, or indeed white people, any people who have had negative interactions consistently with the police force in America, yes, whilst being spurred on by that media narrative, they're not just going out there because of the media. It's because they know that the police in their area are fucking terrible. And they're fed up with it. That's why riots happen.
Well, one thing I want to ask. Wait 1 second. Sorry, I want to ask. So I want to get this clear, okay? So what you guys are saying is if there's a protest going on and the police are, I guess, undermanned or something like that, that then it opens it up to vigilantism.
Yeah, of course.
If I can. So, okay. I am saying that cops would be demoralized, but we also see political pressure because of the narrative that gets shifted and how outraged people are for the chiefs of police and the mayors to tell the police, don't do anything, stand down. We saw this, for example, in Minneapolis. We saw it, for example, in New York. De Blasio has the largest domestic police force of any city in the world. And yet he told his police to stand down because he thought optically it would be bad or it would raise the temperature if he sent the police in. The problem is if you do that enough times, people get tired of seeing their community burnt down. So they're like, look at the McCloskeys in St. Louis, right? They called their someone breaks into their gated property. They call their security. Security says we can't help. They call the police. The police says we can't help. So they go outside and brandish weapons and say, get the hell out of here. They get arrested and the people that came into their property didn't. When this shit happens over and over, it raises the temperature. And furthermore, the idea, no one's saying, you could go back to the Rodney King riots, right? Remember there was this trope where they said roof Koreans? You know what that was? the Korean community that was there in LA, they didn't give a shit about optics. They said, we worked hard for our shit and you're not going to burn it down. And so because the police were unable to do anything, they got into the roofs of their businesses and they shot people that were going into their businesses. And they had the right to do so, by the way. So, I mean, let me be quite clear. I said this early and often. I didn't want the National Guard deployed. I wanted the police to do their job. But because of the political pressure that didn't allow the police to stop these riots that were occurring over and over and over, you can go back and watch me doing videos like 2 weeks after. I even talked to Destiny. I was saying, you're going to see vigilante justice. That's the next step. When we see the people that control the narrative that are making excuses for this rioting, which is causing the police, the people in charge of the police, to tell them to stand down, inevitably people are going to say, we have to take it upon her. I think we're lucky we only saw one Rittenhouse. We're going to start to see more of it if riots continue to be praised.
No, Rob, we're going to start to see more of it because the right wing have taken him and made and sort of pre-mortem beatified him.
Well, that's the
reason why the right wing was able to make him such a hero is because the left wing was so fucking desperate to turn him into a villain.
It's always the left, man. You're so brain poisoned. It's always the left.
Your video title of me literally called me a fascist. You guys are actually delusional, right?
Well,
you can run around and call other people brain poison all you want. I don't know why you're giving me the fucking eyebrows like you don't know the fucking.
No, because they were just calling Big Bird. Hang on, because the right wing in America were just calling Big Bird a communist. So I think it kind of goes both ways.
Real quick.
Does that mean I get to go and shoot people now?
I'm saying that we should hold ourselves to a higher standards, and we should probably report accurately on the facts of the matter. And if you're going to spend all of your time calling somebody a white nationalist, a white supremacist, or a neo-Nazi, or a KKK, or whatever people were saying Rittenhouse was, which, by the way, there has still been absolutely zero evidence presented for that anybody.
He definitely had white supremacist signs. He definitely threw up white supremacist.
Show me an example.
It was at a bar. It was everywhere. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Okay, we've all seen the TikTok videos. Thank you. So there has been no evidence presented of that, right? When you're going to go ahead and throw these terms around, and then
what evidence are you looking for?
What? There is
evidence. Wait, sorry, can I ask that?
He was seen chanting the Proud Boys song.
I have to ask, Destiny. So you're saying that under no situation, if someone does the OK sign, is that you don't count that as
making you a white supremacist? No, and you're incredibly fucking stupid if you say so.
Okay, what about singing the Proud Boys national anthem? What about singing the Proud Boys song? Is that
I don't know the National Proud Boys have a national anthem, but no, him singing that, especially after the fact, doesn't change anything. That was after the shootings that the Proud Boys stuff.
So now you're just completely dismissing that he totally did that, and it's literally multiple sources have covered it.
No.
This is a joke.
Or is that just the media?
There was one thing where yes, he was friendly with some Proud Boys after the shooting. But that doesn't mean that he was a white supremacist or nationalist before the shooting.
Oh, so you're just friendly with Proud Boys just to be friendly with Proud Boys. It just
when the entire
happens,
left,
right?
When the entire left part of the country is shitting on you and you're 17.
I'm not talking about the left. Destiny, let the left go. I'm talking about what he did, what Kyle did at that bar.
Let's try to use more than 10% of our brain for this conversation, okay?
Now you're going to resort to just being flat out rude.
Guys, one sec, please, guys, one sec. Okay, hang on, Destiny, one sec. Please don't name call, okay? Please.
I wasn't. I was being nice.
You said use more than 10% of your brain.
Yeah, because I'm assuming she's not really this dumb. She must just not be using all of her brain.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Guys, hold on.
Are you serious? You can't just debate someone without being so rude and condescending? Are you serious?
Okay, I don't appreciate that, Destiny. Please be nice, okay? Just make your point, okay? This isn't your regular.
When I bring up things that are relevant to the argument, people are like, "Why are you focusing on that?" Okay, so
just explain your reasoning.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, in any situation, if you have one entire group that's shitting on a person, it's really not that uncommon that you see that person gravitate towards another group.
Okay, can I ask you a question after? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so I want to ask you, do you think that by being there as an opposition to the BLM, right, that you're basically making yourself a member of the opposite group, basically? It's not like he was at the grocery store. It's not like he was, can I just finish? It's not like he was at the grocery store and then someone like approached him and tried to take his gun and he shot them. Listen, he specifically went there as a counter protester to a movement. So of course
so the problem is
dichotomy,
on the national level narrative, okay, that's what we see. We see a protest and BLM is there, and they're there to protest the righteousness of bringing justice to the American
Sure,
public.
yeah.
Okay, that's not the point of view that every individual citizen across the United States has. If your community has already been fucking lit on fire for 2 nights prior in response to the Jacob Blake stuff, which it had been, right? And if you have CNN standing outside with cameras saying mostly peaceful protest with a fucking car dealership on fire in the background, your view isn't going to be, wow, there are friendly BLM protesters coming to this city just to march up and down the street and get their message across. You're probably thinking more like, wow, there's going to be crazy people coming to my city tomorrow. They might blow shit up, so I'm going to show up with a force of arms to defend my shit. That's if that's the case.
But I'm saying, do you see why it is that he was painted as a white supremacist?
By dipshits? Yeah, absolutely, of course.
He provided.
But I'm sorry, I gotta push back. I'm wondering, why do you guys think that? And by the way, Shark, I know you haven't had a chance to speak. If you want to just put your hand up whenever you want. I think that it makes sense why he was. It's not that
I put my hand up several times. The thing is, like, they've gone off on a couple different things, and I have no room to jump in here.
There are okay, my last thing, Rob, and then you can go. I swear I'll shut the fuck up, okay? Let's say there are feminist protests all across the United States. It's for women. They love equal rights, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that last night in your town, there was a huge feminist protest, and they burned half the fucking city down, and they're coming back the next night. If you show up, are you automatically anti-feminism now? This is the same thing the Republicans... No, let me finish. Fuck you. This is the same thing the Republicans play when they try to say, like, oh, well, we're patriotic. And then when you attack them, like, oh, you hate the country. That's what you're doing right now. I don't give a fuck if it was a BLM protest, if it was a KKK protest, if it was a neo-Nazi protest, it was a goddamn fucking second coming of Jesus Christ protest. The fact of the matter was a group of people showed up, they burned shit down for the prior 2 nights, and they were coming back a 3rd night. Somebody's going to show up to defend them. It doesn't matter what the fuck the label is. And just because you show up to defend your city from an opposite fucking crew that's coming in and burning shit down doesn't make you anti whatever their label happens to fucking be that night.
I'm not saying it makes you anti. I'm saying, can you understand why it is that he was viewed that way? Without it, I don't think it's an out of line characterization.
Sure, it's out of line. I can understand.
Okay, you want to blame it on the media when he was literally seen at the bar giving up the sign and singing the Proud Boys
song? She just did it.
We can't have white supremacist signs on here. It's the media. I'm sorry, it's the media.
Did you see that? She just did a white supremacist sign. That might be against POS. Jeez. Okay, if I can make my point. Yes,
guys, be nice. Please be nice. Please be nice to each other. Okay.
I can see how people. I could see how people would want to do that, but they're shithead political people, right? This is what people didn't get. Yeah, there are a-holes on both sides.
Hang on. Sorry. Okay, Rob, if someone showed up, okay, let's use the Destiny example. If someone showed up to the Kenosha and was helping to burn the shits down, do you not classify them as BLM rioters?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so why would you not classify the counter-protesters as a white supremacist or someone who's anti-BLM at the very least?
Because
it's a very fair characterization, I think.
No, it is not. It is not. It is one. It's politically motivated.
Why are you making?
Would you please let me finish?
Okay, go ahead.
Right? Okay, right. Because it is politically motivated and it's stupid. For example, let's say a bunch of morons decide that they think that all the Democrats are pedophiles, and so they show up to DC and they start burning shit down. Now people come and they have to defend themselves, and they go against these people that are. Does that mean they're pro-pedophilia? Oh, these people are pro-pedophiles. They're fighting against the people that are rallying against pedophiles. No, please. Let me finish.
It's literally a direct comparison.
Right. So here's what happens. There are shitheads on both sides. Please. There are shitheads on both sides, right? I get that, right? But the reality is most of the people, at least me, I can speak for myself, that was criticizing Black Lives Matter. I'm not criticizing the people that want a peaceful protest.
Black Lives Matter in quotations like that.
Because it's not an official organization with leadership. It is people doing all kinds of shit in the name of Black Lives Matter. And I'm a man, too. I said that, and I'm a man. How horrible.
So you're just completely dismissing the Black Lives Matter. Man, what Black people are going through in this country.
If you would let me finish instead of woman-splaining.
Okay, right. Go ahead.
Right. So what happens is, for example, I understand there are a lot of problems unique to the inner city, and there are a lot of people that are Black that are pissed off about the unique challenges they're facing. They absolutely have every right to come together and speak up about those problems, and they're right that a lot of those problems exist. However, there are people that are using that as an excuse for violence, or they're so pissed about that they're using violence. That's not legitimate. What people like me were criticizing isn't people that want to go out and peacefully protest. This is how so many people on the left conflate it. They want to say, well, if you're against the riots, then clearly you're against peaceful protesters. That's bullshit. That's not what Kyle Rittenhouse or these people were against. They didn't have a pump. In fact, we've seen person after person saying, I was for Black Lives Matter. I was for them. And then they came into my town and they were burning shit down. They're not against the message of the peaceful people. people. They're against the violence. That's what they're against. And when people say, well, but if you're against the violence and the violence is being done in the name of Black Lives Matter, then you must be a white supremacist.
Not you must be. No, of course. I agree. Not you must be. I will personally am against rioting and burning shit down as well. I think a lot of progressives would fall into that camp. But I'm saying that this is why he's characterized as that way. And then
but he shouldn't be.
But then you confound the other things as well. Like, I think Destiny is saying that, like, oh, he was made into this white supremacist hero or whatever. I just think that, like, it's not so much just in the aftermath.
Joe Biden tweeted out an image of Rittenhouse and mentioned white supremacist terrorists. That's how fucking bad it is. When the president of the United States, he wasn't president at the time, he was running, but he sought to use this for political fodder. And the truth is that all the people that did that said, we're going to use this for political points and we're going to say this is white supremacy and shit like that, you're the reason that this is going to exacerbate.
Are you attacking
it's going to get worse.
Are you attacking a politician for doing politics? Because that seems like an odd...
I'm attacking a politician for falsely
doing politics. What do you mean? What else can you attack a politician for? What?
No. The criticism, you dozy fuck, was he was saying he made it political. He's a politician. Of course he fucking did.
His issue isn't that he made it political. His issue is that he was incorrect in his political assessment. Yeah. That was the issue.
No, he specifically said he made it political. That's
okay, let's ask Rob, do you think that politicians should never make anything political?
Oh, just go and
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think so.
Okay, that's
we know for a fact that Carl Rittenhouse supported Blue Lives Matter. We know he hung out and took pictures with Blue Lives Matter was set up as a specific opposition to Black Lives Matter. So it's not crazy.
None of these make them.
All right, let's go to Shark. Shark is going to weigh in.
Lives Matter.
Shark is going to weigh him. And then after that, I want to hear Destiny. Before we go to Shark, actually, Destiny, just give me a yes or no question. Do you think that you have like a personal, like emotional attachment to this specific case because of how it has impacted you personally?
No, dude, I've been impacted by so many things. If you want to attack one of my arguments, go for it. But I don't have like a personal.
No, I'm just wondering if you personally think that like maybe you have a particular bias towards this case because of how it impacted you. But anyways,
no, I don't think so. Regardless of how this turns out, it doesn't make any of my shit better or worse. No.
Okay. All right, let's go to Shark. Yeah, you can go after Shark. Go ahead, Shark.
Sure. So, I mean, I have been listening this entire time. I would like to push back a little bit on the there's like a couple of bad apples in the police a little bit. Destiny, is that right for kind of like what you said?
What did I say?
You said like just because we've seen some issues in the police doesn't mean that there is a pattern there. But you agree with like.
So my issue the quick characterization of this is that like the conservatives saying that like police don't act incorrect or whatever. I don't even know if that's their position, to be honest. But like the idea that the institution of the police is fine and there is no reform necessary, blah, 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 that's ridiculous. However, the left continuously finding these stories that they dramatically misrepresent, or this overall narrative that like if you're a black person in the United States, cops are just indiscriminately driving around like mowing you down in the street. That's absurd. And I think that type of environment puts everybody in an unhealthy world where we're protesting issues that aren't actually existing, where we're calling for changes that don't actually help, like all the defund
issues that aren't actually existing.
Jacob
Blake, like a 10-second echo in here?
Well, Destiny, can you elaborate? What issues do you think are being protested that
so
don't
like
actually
it seems
exist?
to be the case, based on what I've seen, that there does exist some level of discrimination in our system against certain minorities, especially socioeconomically, right? But even just against black people, all else equal for socioeconomic, or all else equal for other
I've
issues.
seen you debate.
Yes, exactly. That does seem to be the case. However, this narrative that cops are running around indiscriminately killing black people, or that they're just constantly bloodthirsty looking, or every single outcome of a trial that we don't like is a result of white supremacy and blah, blah, blah. That's like way too, not even close to reality. It's absurd. And then it leads to people. It leads to this fringe situations where people are, I'm sorry, and the case was horrible, and I'm glad that Sean got in trouble, but George Floyd wasn't a fucking hero. This is not somebody to be revered or fucking worshipped or whatever, right? And then people like Jacob Blake aren't like victims of the system, and cops aren't always doing these horrible things, right? We like totally lose sight of like any realistic
He is a victim of the system. He's literally paralyzed.
But listen,
after he tried to drive off with his ex-girlfriend who he'd fucking raped, drive off with her rental car and her fucking kids.
With her
he
kids.
got shot. Yes.
And a knife. Right, and listen, real quick, what Destiny, like, this is how I put it. I totally agree with Destiny here, right? There are real problems. There are real problems that we need to have real conversations, right? But the problems aren't as bad as what some people are saying. So what are some of the things that people are protesting that's fake? the shooting of Jacob Blake. And what happens is when you build your movement on where so many people focus on these situations that are lies, then there's a counteraction. Then the people on the other side that you need to convince, look, everything's not roses. There are real problems that need solved. All they see is the big things that the media go after. Jacob Blake, Michael Brown. And when you find out that those stories are bullshit, then you have people saying there are people literally engaged in violence, claiming the police are white supremacists and shit out there just bloodthirstily murdering black men. And it's not true. The cases that they point up as the examples for this isn't true. And all this does, the only people that benefit from this are the people in the media and the people that want to drive a wedge to people, because now people just, like, that's where Rittenhouse went, right? Afterwards. He gets demonized as a white supremacist by a candidate for president. Of course he's going to slide to the right.
Okay. Hang on. So there's no personal responsibility. The left will mean to him, so he had to become a white supremacist, obviously.
He never
became a white supremacist.
Okay, hang on. I want to hear from Shark.
Apart from him taking pictures with Proud Boys and being like,
"That makes you a white supremacist."
Destiny, what do you want to tell?
Proud Boys fan now.
No, all right, let's go to Shark.
Question, real quick. If I find someone that takes a photo with a black,
let's go to Shark. Let's go to Shark.
He's had his hand up like for 5 minutes now.
All right, let's go to Shark. Let's go to Shark. Go ahead.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, okay, guys.
And I'm a man too.
Everybody chill. Be nice.
You've done that joke like 4 times.
All right, one sec. Let's breathe. Okay, Shark, please bring some sense into this. Go ahead.
Sure. Now, there are definitely people who lie and mischaracterize a lot of these events. People have like political goals. That happens all the time. Happens a lot on the right, actually, as well. Trying to pretend like there's no connection between the police and a lot of these far right and even like right-wing extremist groups. I mean, the 3%ers, Proud Boys. We've seen a lot of instances, and there have been some. I want to make sure I get the word right. Like, there have been some studies that looked into how police deal with right-wing extremism in their departments, and it's not good. A lot of the times it's led to fester unless it becomes a big like PR problem for the department itself. So, and I think that goes, and now obviously not literally every single time a black person is killed by the police, it's like this awful, terrible, like super racist event, but obviously, I mean, there's 100% a pattern there. I think people 100% go too far with it sometimes, but I don't think that we can just throw that all out. And I mean, like, I just can't, it's hard for me to say that when you go out and do something like that, especially when we've seen, once again, like 3%ers, Proud Boys, and all of these groups of people who've been agitating at BLM protests, and then you basically go out and basically do near the same thing that they do, or at least the same thing they purport to do. I can understand how lots of people can confuse you as being like a part of their group. And now, like, and I mean, listen, the Proud Boys themselves, they are an explicitly violent group. Like, it is in their like recruitment that you have to commit violence to finally be a part of the group. I mean, they're a terrorist organization in Canada. That's why a lot of them moved down to Washington in Portland.
I mean, here's the problem, right? Two things. One, real quick to Kevin. So you're saying if someone took a picture with a black nationalist, that would also make them a black nationalist?
No, taking
you know what? I think it would actually be pretty bad. I would 100%.
Let him finish. Kevin, let him. Kevin,
I can 100% imagine people.
Hang on. I was asked a direct question, wasn't I?
Wait, no, I think he was talking back to Shark, I think, wasn't he?
No, I asked Kevin a direct question.
Oh, sorry.
He said if you took pictures with the Proud Boys, you're white nationalist or white supremacist. I did not say that. So I'm asking, yes, you did. You said he took pictures, so that would
reiterate, Shark, reiterate your point.
I mean, I'm quite sure, unless like I'm apparently like really tired.
Kevin said this, not Shark.
Okay, okay then.
You were getting mixed up. He was addressing me. And I was just saying, the point is not just taking pictures with like in some sort of passive sense. He was being chummy with them and drinking with them in a bar and throwing
and he sang the Proud Boys song with them.
Like, I don't. Again, in a court of law, can I prove he's a white supremacist? Probably not. No. Okay, we're not in a fucking court of law.
Okay, Barack Obama and many members of the Congressional Black Caucus took pictures with Louis Farrakhan. He's an anti-Semite and a black nationalist.
They got it.
He is, yeah.
Why are you pivoting what we're saying to Barack Obama?
Because I'm making a correction.
He's seen with a white supremacist and he took pictures with them and he sung the Proud Boys song. Like, why can't you just admit that he did that?
Wait, I just want
why are you pivoting? Hang on. Why are you pivoting?
Hang on. No one, I don't think here is saying that 100% we know for a fact that Rittenhouse is a white nationalist. I think what we're saying is that it's understandable. And we've heard, and Destiny, I've heard you say this before, that it's almost impossible to know whether or not someone's actually racist. But what we can see is a pattern of behavior that we can draw some sort of conclusions from, right? And I think that
just showing up with a photo app, showing up. Can you at least acknowledge that? I don't know if you guys are fucking delusional. Can you at least acknowledge that if you're 17 fucking years old and the entire one side of a political movement in the United States is attacking you, and there's one other side that's offering you like harbor or refugee, that you're probably going to buddy up with those people? Can you please acknowledge that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you think that okay, great. Wow, both of you did. So do you think that budding up with those people, therefore, is reflective of political beliefs that he had prior to anything that happened?
Well, we know before this. He supported. He supported.
It sounds like
on the left.
Then we'll hop to the next thing. Do you think that if you're supporting Blue Lives Matter, does that make you a white supremacist?
No, not necessarily, but I'm making reasonable inferences that that's the side of things he's on.
You're reasonable. Okay,
hang on. Yeah. I want to hear from DrRedPill. Man's had not one but two hands up. I think it's fair.
Let me recenter this. We started with a self-defense, talk about self-defense with Rittenhouse. I feel like you guys have an optical blind spot where people who understand self-defense are looking at the facts and like directly at the facts of the case and the actions that took place. What you're doing, you've done this repeatedly. This is all you've done, is you've gone to the periphery and like look for motives and character, and you're just reaching. You can't see the bullseye, which is that he was there trying to defend property, whether that was like too bold, maybe, but he was attacked by people. He didn't shoot until they were right in front of him, like on top of him. He had unbelievable discretion in his like handling of the events. And what you're doing is like, well, afterwards he went to a bar and buddied with people. Can you feel yourself reaching so far away from the bullseye that we are?
The topic. We literally went into the topic. Yeah. You can bring it back to that. We can start talking about that. But in retrospect, we were talking about the white supremacist topic.
Yeah, so, but we want evidence that he was a white supremacist before what happened after the shooting.
And I don't think anyone's arguing that he's definitely like 100% going to be found guilty. So the things you bring up there might actually work out in the court case. That's true. I don't know. I'm not a Wisconsin lawyer.
He's not on trial for being a white supremacist, but okay.
Well, exactly. Yeah. No, but that's But and again, you couldn't prove it anyway because it's inside someone's head, and that's impossible to know.
Hold on. No. We could find reasonable evidence that somebody is based on.
But you don't think this is reasonable?
Like chilling with a white supremacist group in a bar, yeah.
No, did you guys see the video that was released on AP where he was literally across the street and he was like, "Oh, I wish I had my gun so I could shoot the shoplifters," when he was literally across the and the shoplifters were nowhere.
And there's a reason why that wasn't allowed to be admitted as evidence, because it's not really relevant to this particular circumstance.
But it's relevant to his personality and who he is.
It's relevant to Destiny. I say that I wish I could, in a video game, people that leave their carts out in the parking lot, right?
But this is real life. We're not talking about
Destiny.
Hang
on, sorry. So we're talking about two different things here, right? So one, we're talking about whether or not there's some sort of clues or something that he was a white supremacist. You're saying that that thing was not admissible in court. We're not arguing whether or not it wasn't.
No,
right? Like,
it's not about it being admissible in court. The conversation is over what the fuck does it mean to be racist or a white supremacist or a white nationalist? And you guys have broadened the umbrella to these words that would include like fucking 85% of the American population. Yep. When you're on some shit like, if you support Blue Lives Matter or Within Blue Line, you're a fucking white supremacist. What are both fucking shit? That's delusional.
I will just bring up that the right wing have spent the last week calling Big Bird a communist.
Wow, good one.
Yeah, started by Ted Cruz, by the way.
Wait, hold on. Hey, I think my shit is glitching. Hold on. Kevin keeps responding to somebody. I have no fucking idea who he's talking to. Am I missing somebody in the call?
Big Bird. Isn't that the next topic? Big Bird?
Wait, who in here was defending conservatives? Who in here was defending conservatives calling Big Bird a fucking communist? I can't hear the mic. I don't know who's saying something.
The point I'm making is you're suggesting, because again, you're just so fucking the left poisoned your fucking brain. You've gone, right? The point is, I'm making that in America especially, and to a degree here in Britain, both sides have been doing this, but you're only ever going to focus on that left side because you're so fucking brain rotted.
Okay,
I understand you have no idea.
Okay, Rob, let him finish.
Wait, yeah, okay, first of all, yeah, I don't know who you think I am, or obviously you have no fucking idea who I am, okay? Me and Rob here probably debated more heatedly than any other two people on this fucking panel, unless he has with somebody else, okay? So I am not pro right wing, but in this case, it is the left wing that is fucked up. You can all you want, okay?
I don't know about you, but when you're going about the Proud Boys being, the Proud Boys are just serial enthusiasts. They're not white supremacists. Don't be silly.
No, the thing is, I'm a little
leaving
bit
shit out. Like there is video of him across. There is video of him across the street. There's literally video of him. I'm going to keep speaking until I can make my point. There's literally video of him across the street where two people were apparently shoplifting. He said, "Oh, I wish I had my rifle so I could shoot them." Clearly, he has a certain personality, and even if it wasn't admissible in court, it's still facts.
Yeah, we're talking about it amongst us.
Unless you're going to nothing about
this.
Sure.
Real quick, one that people say that shit all the time. Man, I would like to cause grievous bodily harm to someone.
Who you're friends with, but no one about me says that. I wish I had my rifle to shoot people.
Please,
speak for yourself. Because I don't hang out with people like that. That's just you.
You're not doing as well as you think, so leave someone else talk. So that's the first thing.
Okay. Rob, listen. Rob, I muted you.
You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to.
Okay. Hold on. I muted you, Ariana. I muted you, Rob. I don't like. Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, Kevin, progressive. Can I talk to them for a little bit after you're done?
Yes. Let me just say, guys, please don't name call. No reason to say you're not doing as well as you think you're doing. I see through this shit, okay? Try to be good faith. Just make your point, Rob. You don't need to insult, and you don't need to insult back, Ariana. Let's try to keep this
Hey, shut up, you poopy head. Shut up.
All right, fine. Go ahead. Let me hear from Shark. He wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Shark.
Oh, wasn't progressive where you were going to finish, right?
You want to finish?
Yeah.
May I finish my point that she interrupted me for?
Wait, you know what? Okay. No, this is my time, and I'm giving it to progressive to finish.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, I made my point. All I'm gonna say, Rob, is if you're gonna disrespect me, I'm gonna disrespect you right back. I don't know what you think this is, but that's how it's gonna go. So that's just. I'm not gonna start it, but you're definitely gonna get the heat back.
Okay.
That's fine.
Let's just
now, I was making a point, and then she interrupted me. I was making a point, and she interrupted me. So
Shark, please go ahead.
So you can go ahead. I was making a point, and she interrupted me. So I'll just finish real quick. So the point is, one, people say that stuff.
Everybody, just chill for 1 second, okay? Okay. I heard your point, Rob. Your point was that.
No.
Okay,
you heard 5 seconds.
Okay, talk to me. Make your point. I pretend you're telling me. Go ahead.
Sure, I'll talk to you, him. One, that people say that sort of stuff all the time. Second, even if he said that about shoplifters, how does that lead to he's a white supremacist? Might show that he's violent, but what does that speak to him being a white supremacist? Now, third, like the reason that we're talking about the left is because one, in this situation, that's the case. Second, prominent politicians called him a white supremacist, like our president of the United States. And third, you're doing the progressives on this panel are doing such a disservice because they're basically saying anyone who had motivation to be against the violence they saw at Kenosha, we view them with suspicion as being possibly being white supremacists. Like all you're doing is you're setting up reasonable people that would say, yeah, I have reasonable feelings. I'm independent, or I'm in the center. I think that Black Lives Matter has a point. I think the progressives have a point. But when you make everyone the enemy that says, yeah, you could reasonably say we're against this rioting and I'm going to show up to stop the rioting. Oh, well, then we're going to view you as a white supremacist. It just shows how ridiculous your worldview is.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to Shark. Yeah.
Well, okay. Can I just say one thing really quick? You thought BLM wasn't real. You thought BLM wasn't real. So yeah, we can all make our inferences, Rob. Just saying.
Short, go ahead. BLM? Who's the leader of BLM?
Wait, guys, stop, please.
Okay, I don't want to go down that route. Let's go to Shark. Shark, save us, please.
Sure. So listen, I just have to say, when you are basically in the shadow of a lot of white nationalists, white supremacists, and far-right extremist groups, like 3%ers, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, okay? And this has been a really big thing moving into the future, moving through like the time that we've been protesting in like 2020. I can see your average reasonable person who looks at what happened there in Kenosha and saying that he was a part of a militia, or like a Facebook militia, which he kind of was, and militias, right-wing extremist militias that were out on the street were shooting into Black Lives Matter groups and were being racist. This is true. Okay. And then afterwards being with the Proud Boys. All right. I'm not saying that he is. I just think like looking at all those facts, I'm pretty sure like a reason, just telling that to a normal person, I'm pretty sure they can be like, he may hold some bad views, but I'm not sure but you know,
I agree.
Is that not reasonable?
Totally disagree.
No, it's not reasonable.
Why do you disagree?
Okay, so here's the problem.
Wait, can you answer my question as well? If that picture at the bar with the OK sign came out from before, would you change your mind, Destiny?
Maybe, but maybe not.
Go ahead. You can answer Shark's question.
Here's my issue. Okay, so the reason why we identify any problem ever is so that we can have a solution. That's the whole point of analyzing problems. We don't just look at things and say this is bad because it's bad and then we leave it. We try to, so if you're a doctor, you try to diagnose a disease, and the reason why we diagnose a disease is to find therapeutic treatments for it. That's the whole point. This is why we find problems. So if I look at a whole bunch of militiamen showing up to a city, and my analysis is, I think these guys are all racist because they're here opposing BLM. Well, how do we fix that problem, right? Well, we're going to have to talk about like, how do we make people less racist? How do we like get people to have better views of BLM? Like these are the situation. These are the problems that we're going to be trying to solve. Okay. But if we back up and we go, okay, well, hold on. We see that there's a bunch of militia-like people showing up to a town, and the reason why they're doing it is probably because like their city has been burned down over and over again, or there's a lot of rioting going on, and that's probably why they're there. Our solution to that problem is going to look a lot different, right? Maybe it'll be like, well, we need to have stricter curfews, or we need to have more policemen, or we need to have the National Guard. Now, I believe that it's more likely the latter than the former reason, that they're probably there to protect their communities rather than they're there because they hate black people. So my solutions, I believe, are going to be more realistic when it comes to trying to get rid of this type of violence or prevent this type of violence in the future. If your analysis of this problem is just that, wow, there's a whole bunch of racist people and that's why they're showing up, you're going to be having a fantasy conversation about trying to fix these problems because you don't even know what the problem is. That's my problem.
And the same is true politically on other issues, right? When Glenn Youngkin wins in Virginia and we're just like, well, that's because white supremacists. Not everything's because of white supremacists. There are legit, like you could see the moral superiority of so many of the progressives because they think like either you agree with us in everything we do or you're a white supremacist. And as this Shark Zero's point here, right? Like he keeps saying these words like the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, and all of these groups. And we say all of them are white supremacists. I don't know if that's true. It seems like they're shitheads at the very least. I don't know if they're all white supremacists.
Have you looked into any of these groups?
No, because it's
okay.
being like,
it's
just
clear.
real quick. I've seen. Right, says the person that doesn't even know the facts of the Rittenhouse case that's here to say.
Hey, Rob,
oh my God, Rob! Oh my God!
Rob, just answer Shark's question, Rob.
I'm answering, right?
You don't need to attack other people while you're
white knighting. Are you white knighting him? Mr. White Knight Heem, good work, man.
Rob,
she comes at me, I go back at her. That's the way it goes. I'm not upset about it. If she wants to come at me, I could make the point. Okay. I didn't make an insult. I said she doesn't know the facts of this case. Now, the point is, right, there are equally horrible groups on the left that we could see that have been connected. Who did the majority of the rioting in 2020? It was the left. It's just true. And people got fed up with it. And so saying, well, there's groups that are bad that are fed up with it. So if someone's around those groups, they must be white supremacists. It's nonsense. Any more than I would say, well, Antifa took over 6 city blocks in the Chaz zone and they murdered a young African-American boy. So well, anyone in Black Lives Matter that was
before. I've heard you say shit like that before.
So anyone that's connected to Black Lives Matter is connected to murdering a young African-American boy. That's bullshit. I haven't said that. I said that the people that are using the movement for violence and for a political agenda are wrong, but certainly the run-of-the-mill people that support Black Lives Matter, most of them deplore the violence. Most of them have said, I've seen people, Black Lives Matter, telling Antifa and other people, get the hell out of my neighborhood. Why are you here burning it down? We're here for justice. Right? Yep. I support that. I support that movement. Too. That's right. That's exactly right. I'm told that I'm racist.
That got shot and the Kenosha. Yep.
Yeah, I'm told that. Think about just. Let me finish real quick. I'm told that I'm racist. I'm told that I'm racist because I'm against predominantly white people going into black neighborhoods and burning them down. That makes me racist because I'm like, no, that's a step too far. Don't do that. And yet I'm connected to white supremacists if I say that. It's so fucking stupid.
Okay. Let's go to Kevin.
I was just going to push back on the rather silly notion of most political violence in America being by the left, considering if you look at the number of terrorist murders, it's overwhelmingly
shootings.
Right-wing motherfuckers shooting places up.
How many? It's not even close. That's not
Wait,
true.
hold on. If we
If
talk
you
about,
look-
hold on, let's be honest. In terms of like killings or whatever, like right wing versus left wing violence, it seems to me to be the case that it's obviously right wing. But if we talk about like overall like damage done, if you're looking at like 2020, 2021, well 2020, like all the riots and everything, that was overwhelmingly left leaning, of course.
Well, yeah,
we
no,
have
and
to
talk about the riots, but I don't
also
look,
recognize that was in response to George Floyd. That was in a very special circumstance. And also, there were 3 people that created Black Lives Matter. It was Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, and Opal Tometi, which are actually all 3 radical Black organizers. So for you, Rob, to just completely dismiss the whole entire Black Lives Matter organization and movement and the uprising that happened based off of George Floyd, before that uprising happened last year, people were kneeling. They were peacefully protesting for years until people rioted in that way. You are completely dismissing that whole entire movement when you are speaking. Do you realize that?
Can I just?
You want me to answer?
In addition,
let's let Kevin add on, and then
preferably, I don't want to hear you speak, but
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Hey, listen. Okay. Everyone. Okay. I don't. Okay. First of all, I want to say Ariana gets a little bit of slack because this is her first time debating on a panel. Okay, I think she's doing great to put up with Rob and Destiny, fucking tag teaming for the first time ever. But I think that like either way, I don't like name calling. Okay, so let's try to keep that to a minimum. Okay. But yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of the overall damage done, yeah, I mean, it was the left largely that was rioting and all the rest of it. But I'm far less concerned with a Wendy's burning down than with like peaceful synagogue attendees being slaughtered.
Okay, wait, why do we, hold on. Okay, you just did it. It's actually so fucking disgusting, okay? If you want, go look, like, this is like saying, like, who the fuck cared about what happened in Syria? So a couple of Walmarts got blown up, right? Like, dude, some of these blocks were, like, absolutely fucking totaled. Even in just Kenosha, this small city, I think that the property damage got up to, like, $50 million just for that small city, right? We're not just talking about one Wendy's burning down. We're talking about tons of businesses, some chains.
Okay, well, I was trying to be poetic about it, but my point is property damage is less important than human life.
First of all, that's
the general point I'm making.
To some people, property is their life, okay? So stop with the dumb fucking arguments, okay? Number one. Number two, you were trying to be poetic.
Property isn't their life, Destiny. That's just not fucking true. They may find it very, very important and a cornerstone of what they think they are, what they've built around themselves, but if they're still alive, they can rebuild that. That's still
if you don't have if you own a business and that's how you provide for your family, that property may as well be your life. Okay. Now, for those of us here with wealthy parents who live in gated suburban communities, maybe you don't understand that perspective, but there's a reason why when you see these riots happen, there are people crying out in the street saying, "This is my business. Why are you doing this? Like, please stop," or whatever. Right.
Well, I do hope you're not impugning me as being from a gated community, because I'm not surely not. I know I've got a British accent, but we're not all rich.
Sure. You just have a very white gated community perspective, but maybe you got that way all on your own. Okay.
Yeah,
the problem is, like,
motherfucker, you're the one going on about if only 50 people get killed, that's fine, because you're not the one that's going to get killed.
Okay,
you're
hold on. Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, people keep trying to frame this as like, oh, it was only I don't care about a Wendy's burning down. It wasn't just a Wendy's burning down. And if anything, you should care about this stuff burning down, because that's what's causing people to take up arms and go out on the street and fucking march around being anti or counter protesters. So you probably should be somewhat concerned about it. Also, this idea that the rioting was in response to the George Floyd stuff, just because something happened that was horrible doesn't give you the excuse to go and burn down a fuck ton of private businesses. Okay, so that is not. So
you prefer businesses over human lives? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he does. He genuinely does.
I prefer people to not burn down private property. Yes.
You're pivoting my question. Hold on. Can you give me 1 second? I just want to talk to Destiny really quick. You're pivoting my question. So you prefer to lose human lives over losing a couple of buildings, which, by the way, most of the time are insured, get rebuilt almost literally the day after. So you prefer to protect those buildings rather than the human lives that are being lost. Which, by the way, George Floyd was murdered. He was literally choked for 9 minutes. Okay, and you're completely dismissing that.
So have you ever filed an insurance claim without the help of your mom or dad before? What is this argument of like, oh, well, there's an insurance, it's easy to get back? Insurance is a huge fucking hassle to get paid out sometimes. And there was that as much was said by a lot of the people that own these businesses in Minneapolis. Not all of them were covered for the types of damages.
Not answering my question.
Answer it for him.
You just ranted for 5 fucking minutes about it.
Bro, I don't like this, because I'm like, my teammates, okay, they're walking into literally every single rhetorical trap. They're walking into literally every single one. I don't like, I can try, but it would be like completely derail what they're talking about. And I could try, but
running down to burn somebody.
Actually, I did try, and then it went right back to this.
seems like you probably have some right to defend that stuff. Do you think people should be able to criminally burn down?
Definitely worth losing a life over.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Decision. Wait, no, wait. Hold on. I'm going to go to this line of questioning. Who's making the decision to lose their life?
Well, in some cases, I think. Okay, hang on.
Wait, holy shit! Are you the person? My camera fucking. I want.
So people that choose. Oh, hold on, Destiny. So people that willingly go to Black Lives Matter protests to actually protest something that they've been protesting for years prior. Nobody has been listening to them up until the point that they start rioting. So you're saying that they choose to go to these protests willingly, and they decide they go knowing that they're going to die at those protests. Is that what you're saying?
We're not talking about protesting, honey. We're talking about burning.
Hey, chill. Destiny.
Honey, earlier, Heem, stop fucking simping. Are you fucking serious right now? She's literally calling 3 people on this panel, honey. Okay, calm the fuck. I'm Midwestern.
Nobody call anybody honey, please.
Okay, she's not allowed to say anymore either. Then
okay, please don't. Okay?
So there is a difference.
The fuck?
There is a difference. There is a difference between protesting and rioting. Do you acknowledge that?
She gave the justification for rioting.
Do you acknowledge the fact that Black Lives Matter had been protesting peacefully for years prior to the rioting with George Floyd? Do you acknowledge that?
Of course I do. 93% of the protests are peaceful. However, Kenosha militia people didn't show up because of peaceful protests. They showed up because of over $50 million in property damage. Do you acknowledge that?
All my question was that if you prefer human lives over property, and you basically responded to. I got my answer.
Wait, one sec. I'm gonna draw the bridge. Okay. I think what Destiny is saying is it depends on the context. In some situations, you could justify defending your property at the price of someone's life, is what he's saying, I think. But what I think that what Ariana is saying is that, like, you acknowledge, Destiny, that there is systemic inequalities when it comes to policing and so on and so forth, and that these things have been on the forefront of minorities and marginalized people's concerns for decades now, and it's gone unaddressed. So it's not as though they're like rioting and burning down buildings just for jokes or like to get the newest Jordans. It's because there's like an actual thing that's going unaddressed. I've heard you make.
I understand this. I don't need this. Holy background is not relevant. You don't need to go and blow up private businesses to protest.
No, of course. Yeah.
Destiny and I fundamentally disagree. I think that's what's going on. I think we fundamentally disagree on where we. Can I speak, Rob? Really?
Yeah, let her finish.
Give me like 2 seconds. Okay, I think Destiny and I just fundamentally disagree of when a person's life should be taken. Personally, I just don't think it's justifiable under any circumstance when a person's going to protest. Okay, but then Destiny disagrees with that. I just think we fundamentally disagree. That's it. I'm just going to land my plane there.
Okay. One final question and then I'm done, okay? And then in the 1921 Tulsa race riots or whatever, if black people would have defended their property from white people coming to blow their property up, do you think that would have been allowed? If white people were only going to show up and blow their property up and leave, do you think that black people had a right to protect their property there from white people coming in to do it?
I don't think any person should die at a protest, no matter what race. I don't care if they were Smurfs. I don't think it's justifiable.
So in the event of like Black Wall Street being burned to the ground, okay, do you think that if black people wanted to defend their property there from the white people,
they wanted to, they couldn't.
But if they could,
let's rephrase that.
I don't need to rephrase it. It's a historical event. It's already happened. Okay. If they,
but you said if they did, which they couldn't. They literally could not.
It's okay.
Oh
whatever.
My fucking god! It's a hypothetical. Okay, hold on. We're up to 30% right now. Okay, we're getting there. Okay. Let's say that they show up with firearms. Black people. Let's say they could show up with firearms to defend their property. Would they be allowed to do that in your world, or do they have to stand by and watch it all be burned to the ground?
That's different.
Why are you bringing up black people in this? Like I just told you.
You can just talk about.
I don't think it is justifiable for any person to die at a protest or riot. That's just my explanation for it. We fundamentally disagree on that. You bringing up the Tulsa massacre and if black people could or they couldn't, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what race, who is defending what. I don't think a person should die at a protest that turns into a riot. Protesting is our fundamental right in America. I lived in Iran for a year. I lived in a country where you couldn't.
You don't have a right to write.
Let her finish. Destiny, let her finish. Let her finish. She's
lying. She's lying.
No, she's mid-sentence.
I'm lying.
Let her finish. Go ahead, finish.
I was born and raised in America, but I lived in Iran for a year. I've lived in an environment where you're not allowed to protest or speak, okay? I appreciate the fact that we have that ability to do that in America. I don't think any person should die under any circumstance, whether it's black people protecting their fucking place or whether it's white people. I just don't think it's justifiable. Over property, I don't think it's justifiable. I don't care what kind of example you're going to bring to you, Destiny, to justify it. I think it's justifiable. To me, a building, you can rebuild a building. When you lose a life, you lose a life, and you can never get that back. Joseph can never get his life back. Whoever, Anthony Gage can never get. Gage actually survived. Never mind. Anthony and Joseph cannot get their lives back.
Okay. I think you guys have fundamental disagreements on this.
No, we don't. Hold on. She's just
you do.
We do.
No, Destiny, you have fundamental.
She is fundamentally incapable of engaging with anything that's being said. It's not that we disagree. That she's in another world. Okay, sorry. Let other people talk. I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just really dumb, and I just don't know anything.
Dumb. You guys are all smart.
True statement. Finally, she tells the truth.
All right, Shark, help me here.
Yeah, that was sarcastic, Rob. If you knew anything, you would know that.
Okay, Shark. All right. Fucking hell, I'm losing control of this panel. Holy shit. All right, first of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my channel, okay? Let's push me to over 10,000 subs. I'm going to use this opportunity. Shark, save us, please.
Sure. I mean, like, I mean, that's a position that you can hold, that you can, like, progressive, you can be like, no one, when it comes to property damage in and of itself, from like a policy or like legislative standpoint, we shouldn't allow people to use lethal force against that. In a lot of states, we have that already. There are exceptions like bombs and arson, because that can lead to a lot of like unintended death as well. So, I mean, I understand it, but I wanted to touch back on something that was kind of like I feel like we're just moving like step to step, where it's like these like militia groups, and I would 100% push back on the fact that they're only there for just the property damage. I 100% agree that the property damage is a big driving factor to a lot of people feeling like they need to do this, like 100%. But that's, I really don't believe that's the vast majority of them that we've seen, especially because there have been studies that show that people like 3%ers, Proud Boys, and Oath Keepers are at like 85% of the armed protests that we had in 2020. All right. And those guys aren't there just for property damage. They're there for a lot of other political reasons. I feel, and then like blaming that on either like rioters and BLM, there is some blame to be had there. But the whole reason why we're having this entire conversation in the first place, I think, is because of the police system that we're under in the first place. And that can 100% be overblown in some specific cases, but we have seen this time and time again. Like years and years have passed for us to get to this point. And I don't want to like put all the blame on them, but like, I mean, yeah, like 100%, like you shouldn't be writing.
Okay, DrRedPill, double hands up. That means it's his turn to speak.
I'm gonna let Rob go, but I really want to go, but I'm gonna let Rob go first.
Go ahead. Wait, you've had your hand up for so long.
Bro, come on.
DrRedPill.
All right, so you two are at like a intractable disagreement. Like you have different axioms. I think the progressive Brat, you basically are saying you value human life like infinitely, and there's no circumstances in which property, like I think Destiny's worried about like this slippery slope where we establish a precedent where you can just burn buildings and we have no recourse. We can't even provide a deterrent. And it's going to like, that sets, society can't work that way. We're not going to like flourish and have like a lot of well-being if we let everyone burn down a building anytime any kind of like bad thing happens.
Do you think that there's ever justification to you know, for a group of people that have been protesting something for 20, 30 years and have gotten very little change to come out of it?
Peacefully protest, yeah. But just real quick, people don't get shot like directly over property. It's generally like this escalation that happens where Rittenhouse shows up to deter and he wants to defend himself, and people get agitated because he's putting out fires and they want to set more fires, and then they start to attack him, and like he doesn't fire over property. They hate that he's there, and they get angry at him, and they chase him and try to attack him, and then they get shot. Kevin, that's how this goes.
Kevin.
Yeah, Doctor, I was just going to...
and then Rob, your answer.
Further on that, because Heemed was asking, I think, about whether it's ever justified to use violence when you've exhausted peaceful options. So is there a situation in which this kind of activity would ever be justified?
Sorry, you mean the protests?
No, burn the rioting
or revolution or something like that.
Look, if you have issues with police and you want to like attack a police precinct or something, the government wants to stand down, that's somewhat different than people. You can understand private citizens and their livelihood being their small business, and they want to protect that and not have like unbelievable suffering like inflicted upon them. Like now they have to restart, just be poor now and restart everything. And like all your hard work is down the drain. That's like not a sustainable thing. If you want to do it to, I mean, it's horrible to do it to government.
It's not sustainable, but I'm saying in instances of extremity, would that ever be justified in your eyes? So it's like a philosophical point rather than anything. But
to attack property?
To take violent action.
That's a huge topic to go to.
May I chime in here? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
In our current system, there is no excuse on any issue whatsoever to engage in violence like this, period. If we can't agree that we can't engage in things with dialogue and things like that, and it's okay to resort to violence if your cause is just enough, well, guess what? You've just given everyone who thinks that they have a just cause excuse to commit violence. Period. End of story.
How was America founded?
That I don't give a shit. It was a different world back then, right? It's not the same as it was back then. Are you claiming? Please, let me finish. It was. Go ahead, please. You're just going to... Okay. One, it was a far different world back then, and we have more sophistication that we could deal with things in a less violent way. Second, if you're willing to say that Black Lives Matter is engaged in a violent revolution to overthrow the government, if that's what you want to say, that's what this is. Now, I just want to be clear.
I'm not comparing the two, Rob. I'm saying that there are situations in which violence is justified and that people celebrate, like the 4th of July.
Wait, so Rob, when you say, why do you say not in today's world? Like, I guess, what is the line that you're drawing here?
Because things are vastly different than they were when violence was a part of everyday life back in the American Revolution. There is no political issue, no matter how serious. If you think if you think the election was stolen, if you think that the country is systemically racist, no, none of these come to even close to the bar that it's okay to go out and engage in violence. And I just want to be clear that we see person after person on here on the left make the excuse for this is why we need violence in this time. You saw the progressive Brat do it, say their voice was up.
I can engage.
Okay, let me the idea that violence isn't a part of life is ridiculous.
I'm glad
wait, one sec. So I would say, Rob, and listen, I'm not telling you my opinion. I think that probably this was a self-defense case. Okay, I'm just trying to represent both sides of the argument here. I think that a lot of people would say that the lives that marginalized people live in America every day is basically they face a form of violence. So like you're saying that life today is not as violent as it used to be, but I don't know if that's the case for everyone.
Well, it's not the violence to the level we used to see, but fine. I live in rural Pennsylvania with predominantly white people. They think that the systemic abuse that they face every day is a form of systemic violence against them. So when they decide that they're going to form a militia or something, Shark Zero will go, well, this seems like a violent white supremacist militia. We don't like this. But those people, if you talk to them in earnest, they'll say, my wages are going down. I had a job at the coal mine. It's been taken away with that. And not only is all this shit, but you keep talking about the narrative. We had these conversations, but nothing was getting fixed. So violence was needed. At least those conversations could happen. People in rural Pennsylvania and in rural America, they're told that they're the enemy. They're the problem. They're flyover.
Wait, what do you? I'm confused what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Rob, the coastal elite thing gets thrown around a lot as well. They're not real Americans.
Yeah. Let's go double-handed.
Everyone gets penalized.
It'd be nice to finish a point.
Wait, hang on, sorry, just to clarify.
You're not allowed to just filibuster, Rob. You don't just ramble on.
That's literally what everyone did for the past 30 minutes.
Okay, hang on. Let's take a breath. Okay, let's go to Shark, and then let's go to DrRedPill.
Well, you know what? Can I swap DrRedPill?
DrRedPill, you go first, then Shark.
Go on, bud.
Thank you. So to Kevin's question, I don't think it's the level of violence in past societies. To me, it's more about having a plan in place about how to make things better, not to just like, we don't like it, we're going to go fuck shit up. Like, we're going to go burn shit down. So, like, the revolution and how America was founded, they wanted independence, and they had a plan to do it. They executed it, and they drew up a declaration, and they made it happen. And then it's probably better that happened. Maybe that, like,
massive. I'm not sure they had a well set out plan, particularly, but.
It was
pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I personally think that the demands that people are asking from police reform is not that high. Like to say, if you get fired from one police department, you probably shouldn't be able to get a job 30 miles down.
That's not the demands. That's not the demands at all.
Close to the demands.
The guy that doesn't believe in BLM knows all of the demands.
Okay, hang on, Destiny. What is the demand?
What are the demands, Rob?
No, I want to hear from Destiny. Wait 1 sec. No, I want to hear from Destiny. Go ahead.
I'm sure you
Destiny,
do.
That's no, because Rob, you're obviously opposed to this, but Destiny is someone who understands systemic violence.
No. I get it. You want it. That's fine. You want to have the conversation with Destiny. I would like to have a chance to be able to answer as well.
Okay.
But I'm sure I'll get cut off at 5 seconds in as always.
No,
go ahead.
I'm going to yield some of my time to Rob. Go, Rob.
Go ahead.
Go.
All right, go ahead,
They're
Rob,
talking about things like, they're saying things, all cops are bastard, defund the police, we need to replace the police with domestic forces and things like that. The problem is this, because Black Lives Matter...
Wait, let him finish.
I never said that I don't believe Black Lives Matter exists. I said that the common defense that's given, for example, if we're saying that Black Lives Matter is just one monolithic group, then that means that the gentleman in Dallas that shot 5 police officers that was there with the Black Lives Matter group, that's Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter murdered 5 police officers. That's why I put it in quotes, because it's this amorphous thing. Some people say I'm with Black Lives Matter, but I'm totally against the violence. Some people say, no, I believe we need to use violence, like the progressive Brat here. It's the language of the unheard. They haven't been heard, so we need to use violence. That's why I put it in quotes.
Wait,
real quick.
Hold on. Take notes.
I'm gonna need to go after him, though.
Okay, take notes. Okay, let him finish.
Right. So the point is that because they have misidentified the problem and they said things like, see, the shooting of Jacob Blake, that was police foaming at the mouth, killing unarmed black men. See, Michael Brown, that's police foaming at. What happens is when you sell your story on a lie, then the solution that you're going to come up with isn't within reality, right? So there are reasonable changes that we could be talking about, but instead we're saying things like, all cops are bastard, defund the police, they murdered Jacob Blake, now we need to go burn down a city. That doesn't help the situation.
True.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Ariana. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll wait. It's just
so first of all, like I said, I was born and raised in the U.S., but I lived in Iran for a year. I've lived under a regime like the Islamic Republic. In no shape or form will I ever justify taking a life over a building, okay? I am not justifying arson. I am not saying that I value human life over a building. All I'm saying is that I have lived in a government that inherently says that's okay. I've seen it. I've lived it. Rob, I know you haven't, but just hear me out here, okay? And I personally don't want to go through that again. If I wanted to, I would just move back to Iran, okay? It's just that simple.
Wait, hold on. Why the fuck did you come to the United States then? Of all the countries you could have gone to, if that's going to be like your criteria.
No, I
was born and raised in America. I just lived in Iran for a year.
Oh, okay. Then go to a European country then. Half of it is just like complete like dipshittery. So I'm
because you're not fucking listening, Destiny. If you listen, you would know.
You brought up a relevant point about you being in Iran. Like
you keep mansplaining me. Can I please speak? Don't mansplain me.
She's calling me.
Yeah, he is. I'm the only woman on the channel. He's literally cutting me off.
I want to be clear. I am reporting you for transphobia. Okay, I am non-binary. Correct her. I do not like to be referred to as man.
I'm not binary. I did research on you. Don't worry about that.
So
I also
if she wants to use that insult, if she wants to use it, she has to use the term demsplaining.
I'm sorry, Destiny, I had to mute you. All right, I had to mute you. I just want to get a little bit of control, okay? I know it's very heated, okay? I love the passion, all right? This is awesome, I love it, but let's just chill a little bit, take a deep breath, okay? And then we'll get going again. Okay, so Ariana, I'm gonna unmute you, okay? You can finish your point. I think your point was about the. You can go ahead and finish your point, and then we'll have Destiny. We can have Destiny respond after. I just don't like people talking over top of each other. That's my only issue. And yeah, go ahead.
All I'm saying is I don't want to live in a world where 17-year-olds can just pick up their AR-15 and just shoot, even if it's in self-defense. I don't feel comfortable with that. That's all I'm saying. I think that human life takes over a building, point blank, period. That's just what I think. Now, Destiny, Rob, if we disagree, then we disagree. That's fine. That's the point of being on a panel. But for you to just keep saying, like, I'm not justifying arson. I'm just saying that I believe that human life is not replaceable. Replacing a building is replaceable no matter how long the insurance claim will take. Okay. That's first. Yeah, that's what I have to say. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you on my floor. I just see it because Rob, I know I trigger you a lot, and you keep bringing me up. So I just have to respond back to you. You know.
Okay. All right. So the thing that I'm gonna reiterate again here and going back is that, like, when people's you guys are saying that, like, there's this massive demand from BLM, like all cop, like getting rid of the police force, I think that that's like a rhetorical conclusion that has come from. Well, let me just finish. So I think that's just like a rhetorical conclusion.
Don't let him fucking mansplain what BLM wants you.
Shut up, Destiny. Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah.
I think that this is like a rhetorical conclusion of unaddressed things. Destiny, do you disagree with that?
I think she could have explained that just well enough. I don't know why you feel they need to do it for her.
Answer the question, bro. Do you agree or disagree? Hang on, wait, I want to hear what Destiny has to say. I'm going to hold your feet to this. Do you agree or disagree, Destiny?
That if it's a rhetorical technique, it's the most garbage
one
in the world.
Not a rhetorical technique, a rhetorical conclusion from something that has gone unaddressed for decades. We can't even get police reform.
It says what I said earlier. The reason why we can't get police reform is for a large combination of factors. Well, the biggest one is because it has to happen on the local level, and people don't vote in local elections. That's the number one reason why police reform doesn't happen. Okay.
Let him finish. Don't speak.
Well,
okay,
now
go
I feel
ahead.
like I might be wrong on that opinion if she's agreeing with it. Holy shit.
Go ahead.
Oh my God, Destiny. No, your whole career is fucking ruined.
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. But I'm just saying that like that's the number one. So, but the problem is when people get mad and they don't know what they're mad at, or they start demanding things, they don't know what they're demanding, right? The whole defund movement was a fucking catastrophe. It was a catastrophe in terms of effect on policy. It was a catastrophe in terms of effect on the Democratic Party and elections. And it's been a catastrophe moving forward in terms of getting people to have good conversations about what we should do with police precincts. Because now that we tried, in a lot of towns, we tried some defund shit and it fucking failed miserably. Now it's going to be that much more difficult to have a conversation on what type of reforms do the police need. Because the people that were advocating for them prior to this had no good fucking ideas. Like fucking Minneapolis, they had on the ballot whether or not they should get rid of the fucking police department.
Yeah.
Like,
so Destiny, the problem with this movement. So just to clarify, the problem with the movement is that you're saying there's not enough specific like demands that will improve things?
Yes. So in order to fix any problem, you need to know what the problem is. Identification is step one. And if you can't accurately identify it, you're never going to fix it.
So let me just say, if I can, real quick, I think there's a fundamental, I'm going to try to be as nice as possible. I think Progressive Brat has a fundamental misunderstanding, right? She's saying no one should die for property, right? But here's the thing. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't say, I'm going to kill this guy because I think he's going to destroy this car. That's not what happened. Kyle Rittenhouse said, I think that we shouldn't be burning down this community and I'm going to be there to stop. Then in the course of that, as DrRedPill said earlier, there was an escalation, right? It sounds to me like if you want to talk about, I don't want to live in Iran. If we're talking about people aren't allowed to defend, I don't give a shit. I'll say what I want. Iran. I have to talk about Iran.
It's okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
She mean my country? I thought she said she was American.
Yeah.
Okay. Chill. Okay, just make your point. Just go ahead.
Real quick. I don't want to be word policed by someone who didn't even have the courtesy to ask Destiny his pronouns. So please, Iran.
Thank you, Rob.
So real quick.
Stop it. Listen. You guys are being sarcastic dickheads. Okay.
That's what you're being. Oh, my gender is a sarcastic issue for you now?
No, you're being a sarcastic dickhead, bro. You know exactly what you're doing. Shut the fuck up.
Wait, honestly, I'll finish real quick. I did my research on you and it said that you are non-binary, but you also go by he, him.
That doesn't mean I referred to as a man for mansplaining. I them-splain to people, not mansplain.
Okay.
Now, if I can finish my point. I'll finish.
What is happening? Okay, so finish your point, Rob, quick.
Right. So the point is, I think it would be more like Iran or a country like that to say people have no right to defend their family or their house or their property whatsoever. Because if you defend your property, it could escalate, which would result in a death, and it's never worth a death. Therefore, if someone wants to come into your house and say, I own all of this shit now, goodbye, you have to let them do it because it would never be worth standing up to them because it could escalate and lead to a death. That sounds more like Iran than what we're talking about right now.
What? Okay, I think that there should be things in place whereby you would be able to not have to kind of, I think like having insurance, for example, right? Like let's say your building is on fire, you're not at liberty to put out that fire. There's firefighters, there's insurance, and you're not going to necessarily have to risk your life for that piece of for that property. And I think there should be things in place whereby no human life has to be pitted up against a piece of property. If
I can, real quick, I just know that I'm going to say something that's going to piss everyone else. I guarantee that the lefties here, if it was the opposite, if the Oath Keepers say, you know what, fuck it, we're going into inner city Chicago and we're burning down some black people's houses, we're going to take their shit. I fucking know that there is no way that the people in this panel would be like, well, those black people just leave the police stand down, leave the firefighters stand down. We don't want to see black people show up with fire extinguishers. We all know that that's the truth. The reality of this situation is you're actually right, Naheem. We should have had the police doing something, but because of the pressure that was put on by leftists in the Democratic Party and our media, it made it so that these mayors and these governors didn't want the National Guard, didn't want the police, and instead they said, just let them riot. And human nature is people are only going to put up with that shit for so long. And they're right to only put up with it for so long.
Did you I don't actually know your opinion on this, but did you defend the January 6th or whatever?
January 6th, it was 6th.
Yeah.
January 6th.
Yeah, did you defend those people?
I did a video 1 hour in before they even broke into the White House, the Capitol, saying anyone engaged in violence there ought to be summarily arrested.
Does going into Does going into the Capitol count, even if they weren't beating people down or breaking doors?
The people that went into the Capitol and didn't engage in violence should have been given the same.
No, what if they didn't engage in violence? They
right?
Just
let me finish.
Yeah,
those people that didn't engage in violence that went into the Capitol should be given the same penalty that was given to the people that entered the Capitol under the Kavanaugh hearings.
I don't know.
Oh, so you just played just fucking silly games.
What does that mean? Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
If you committed the crime of trespassing, you should get the penalty of trespassing. If you committed the crime of fighting with police, you should get the crime of fighting with police. The idea that we see so many people that want to blow up what January 6th was and treat everyone there as an insurrectionist is fucking laughable.
Just like, yes, laughable. You defended them then. You think they were just.
I didn't defend people engaged in violence.
Okay, cool. So, but basically, the point is, you're a hypocrite. Is the point I'm making.
Okay, Kevin Logan, what's the penalty for the people that went into the Capitol but didn't engage in violence? What should they be charged with? Treason?
Well, hang on, no. Going in there, I think, is in of itself an act of violence. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wait, hold on. I got a question. Hypothetically, I'm curious. Let's say hypothetically, I'm just totally pulling this on my ass. Let's say some women went in and did a sit-in in some like senator's office or whatever in order to protest what was going with the Kavanaugh hearings. Should they have all been arrested?
Were they trying to like overthrow American democracy?
Sure. Yes. Hold on. Wait. So just to be clear. You're providing a second qualification now, which I think Rob kind of did the exact same thing of. He said if somebody went in and was engaged in violence, and now you're saying, well, just going in isn't enough. It's if they go in and they were...
Rob thinks that them trying to literally stop the democratic process of Trump losing the election and being fucking kicked out.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry. This is going to make a lot of people mad. I'm sorry, but you need to understand something about numbers of people, okay? If you think the majority of the people there were actually trying to do that and all they managed to do was like kill, like one woman got shot by the cops, you're fucking delusional, right? Yep. If all those people were there to overthrow the fucking...
Hang on. What percentage of them have to be trying to do that? And how do you know what's in those people's heads?
What percent?
Yeah, what do you think they were there for?
From what I've heard, right? I think most of the people probably showed up to protest because they were fucking mad and then shit got riled up. They were probably almost for sure, I would say, some genuine bad actors there that had fantasies of invading the fucking Capitol and shit. Now, I think I heard from the FBI that it was like 5% or less had some plan to do something. Even that number sounds a little bit high because 5% of however many thousand people, there's a lot of people. But I don't think every single person who went there, their goal was to destroy the White House or destroy the Capitol building and take it over. But because if they were, we would have saw way more shit. Much the same, if we back up more macro, when we talk about like, oh, these militiamen, they're only going there to oppose BLM and shoot protesters. If that was true, you'd see way more motherfuckers dead. You'd see so many more people dead than just the two people that Kyle shot in self-defense, not over defensive property.
And real quick, two comparisons. One with Kavanaugh, they were trying to stop a democratic process, the way our republic is set up, of Kavanaugh being confirmed. That's what they were trying to do. And second, people forget that May 30th and 31st, 2020, we had a bunch of people storm the White House, burn a guard station down with Molotov cocktails, and try to enter the White House to physically remove Donald Trump from the presidency. We don't call that an insurrection, and I don't even think that everyone that was in D.C. protesting that day. That's right. Isn't that a fucking shame that you have
part of the problem?
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what we're talking about.
I would say, hang on. I would say the scale of these two things are probably not the same.
They're way.
Well, I can explain that as well. Real quick. It's not the topic. Yeah. But the reason that the scale is different is because we actually knew that the people that showed up in D.C. on the 30th were going to engage in violence, so there was an appropriate amount of police response there. But for some reason, which we haven't got to the bottom of, we know that both the mayor and Nancy Pelosi, Sergeant at Arms, didn't want National Guard there. Trump wanted National Guard there. But whoever was at fault, there wasn't enough protection on January 6th. And it's fucking ludicrous. There should have been enough protection. But the only thing that separated that incident from May 30th was that the police were able to stop the people trying to break into the White House. And those people were more well armed. They had Molotov cocktails that they were throwing. There were dozens of police officers hurt in that situation. Yet we don't hear about that insurrection. In fact, you know what we hear? Trump was a bunker bitch. He had to hide in his bunker bunker.
Okay,
That's what the left said about that. They made fun of Trump. Meanwhile, AOC is venerated as a PTSD survivor because of what happened. These double standards are fucking ridiculous.
Okay. We're getting
AOC is a PTSD survivor. She literally had to. No, hold on. She had to.
No. Okay, chill. Everybody chill. I don't want to go into a whole January 6th thing. This is not about January 6th. I think if we end up going in this route, we're going to end up fucking going for another 3 hours.
Can I just say this?
How much longer
Also, Republic and democracy are not the same thing.
Okay, sure, I understand.
You know that, right?
Okay.
So then they weren't trying to steal our democracy? Is that what you're saying?
Rob, chill,
on January 6th, they weren't trying to steal our democracy?
Chill. Everybody chill. Okay, I have one more.
I have one more. Democracy is,
oh my goodness. Okay, everybody chill. Okay, I had to mute Ariana and I had to mute Rob. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you guys having fun? Give me a thumbs up if you're having fun so far. We're good? We're good?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Shark, no thumbs up. And
I give you a thumbs up.
I was just gonna ask how much longer this is gonna go. I don't mind. I'm just wondering because it's like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh shit. All right. We'll wrap up. Let's say another 20 minutes. And then
yeah, cool, man.
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Shark.
Okay. So Rob, I don't know. I just thought it was weird because you mentioned again that I say that every single militia that goes out there is apparently like white supremacists or white nationalists, which I think is super weird, since I even made the distinction that I said that these people can go out there without that thing in their head. But you claim that almost every single one of these riots were specifically because of even looting was specifically under the BLM umbrella, but you won't give the same credence to a lot of these militias. But okay, that's interesting. Oh, there was one thing that I want to mention a little bit, which was
is someone crackling something? Sorry,
it's not me.
I hear crackling. I don't know if it's you're touching your mic maybe or something like that. I don't know. Do you guys anywhere else hear that?
It's gone now, but I did.
Okay, it's good now.
He did it. It was Kevin. I saw it.
You eating chips? Eating chips there, bud? You hungry?
No, I was muted. It wasn't me. I was muted.
Sure. All right, go ahead. Finish your point. Sorry to interrupt.
I do think okay. So I disagree with the messaging of defund the police, but I do think there was there were definitely some good ideas that were under like the defund movement. It was more like move police funds around to different social services that can do a lot of great work. Now, maybe the one in Minneapolis went a little too far, but it's something that's just coming up, and a lot of people are going a little too far. And I mean, I can 100% understand that. I don't think that's too insane, especially since there are a lot of good movements that came out of that. There's like Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon. They did a great process in Dallas with a lot of social workers as well. Taking over around like 20% of the calls that police would take for some, especially when it deals with like people with mental health and people with homeless people as well, that would be dealt with the police. That turned out way better. So there were some good ideas under there. I don't think we should just throw the entire thing out, especially when we see that some things have worked.
I agree.
No one's saying that throw the entire thing out, right? The problem is specifically the rioting. Like, and what I'm saying, and I know Destiny's more on the left than me, like, but I'm telling you that I actually think there are real things that we need to reform with law enforcement. And I understand that there are people, just like in my community, there are people that feel left behind. In cities, there are people that feel left behind. These are real fucking problems, of course. The problem is when we allow falsities like Jacob Blake, that the entire media for clicks or whatever is like, yeah, he was murdered by police, which pisses people off to the point where they engage in violence, which then upsets the other side that says we're not willing to listen to these people. That's the problem. It's specifically the violence is the problem. And I think that I don't understand if I don't know if the progressives understand this. When whatever that study was that came out that said only 93% of Black Lives Matter rallies were violent. Well, of course, there was one in my little town. Of course,
wait, that's only 93%
were 93% were peaceful. He meant peaceful.
Oh, peaceful. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. The problem, no one gives a shit about those. Like, no one's upset about that. It's the 7%. 7%. And that study that said that there were 245 instances of violence. That's more than 4 per state. Like, how many cities are in your state? If more than 4 per state had instances of violence, that's a huge problem. Billions of dollars in damage. Dozens of people killed, like David Dorn, like the nameless person that was killed in Minneapolis that burnt in the pawn shop in the first night that was burned down. We don't have to. This shit is real.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, it is the violence is real, but you're attributing all of that to BLM, and I really just don't think that we should at all. There's these what are you're shaking your head.
Let him finish.
You're shaking your head.
You let him finish. He hasn't even spoken.
Ariana, wait. I'll mod. Shark,
even though you didn't look into almost any of these militias that I said that I brought up, where they go with they're there with armed protests. They do an armed protest against BLM, which agitates more, which adds some more violence. So you can say, like, at these 100%, those BLM demonstrations did turn violent, but you can't just say that was all because of just BLM.
Okay, wait, can I ask a point of question? I have a really important point of question. So I agree with you 100%. But how can you simultaneously say that you cannot attribute all violence that happens in an area to BLM, but then say that every person that shows up to oppose that violence is opposing all of BLM? You can't have that both ways.
I don't think I said that. Did I say that?
Okay, you might not have particularly, because you seem like pretty reasonable. But when the broader conversation is anybody that shows up to oppose any amount of BLM violence is there to oppose all of BLM. But then when violence happens for BLM, people are like, well, that doesn't represent all of BLM. That can't be both ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, if there once. Like I said, I think I said it, that there are groups of people who do show up because they just saw the they were really mad just because of the rioting. That's 100% happens, and I don't think literally all of them should be called like white nationalists, white supremacists. I think I just said that I can understand like a person just looking at what happened and be like they may be connected to that group. I can see you saying that. Just like I can understand like people looking at those BLM, looking at the violence that happened at those BLM protests and say that that's probably because of BLM. It makes just makes sense.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. All right. DrRedPill, double hands up means he's got to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are these word games that are being played where, like, it's not BLM like exactly, but it's BLM related, and it's sparked by outrage, like related to the BLM sphere. Same way, like CRT. Like, is it taught in schools? I don't know CRT, but it's like it's rhetoric that sort of coincides with CRT, and it's sort of like people of color and white people and the interactions. We use these terms like as a catch-all, like an umbrella term. So when we say like BLM, it's BLM related. It's like related to the outrage that just happened in the news that the media like put on blast and people got outraged over.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to move the topic really quickly. Two more quick things I wanted your all's opinion about. I've heard Destiny's take on this. That's why I brought it up. What do you guys think about the idea of protesting after dark? And so on and so forth. I guess Destiny, you can go ahead first since I know you have a position on this, and then
I think, in my opinion,
when everyone else agrees.
Yeah, when people start breaking curfew and you protest after dark, I think it's a really bad idea because a lot of bad stuff happens. I did get an email from somebody that explained, and her explanation, which I thought was an interesting one, I still don't agree with it, but her explanation was that some people like to protest after dark because of anything that's caught on camera. People don't want their face to be seen and to experience like repercussions and stuff at work or maybe with friends or family, which I can kind of buy, but I still think that all in all, protesting after dark is just, it sets you up for so many bad things. Like that's when all the bad stuff happens typically, is like at night, and I don't think it's worth the cost.
Do you think that it can stress the severity of the protest to stay after dark? Like, listen, this is no joke. Like, we're not leaving and coming back tomorrow. It's not something we can put on the back burner. It's something that needs to be addressed. We're going to protest until it's addressed.
So people keep saying this, and I'll say this, and this has just been borne out time and time again. Like, protests don't have to get violent or get like super crazy in order for people to notice them, right? You have a better shot if you are protesting and it's morning and your protesters are getting roughed up by police and shit for no good fucking reason. That shit is really powerful politically for you. It is so good. But the second you start setting cities on fire, the popularity with that shit will tank like a motherfucker. And we've seen this happen historically. It gave us Nixon after the MLK riots. It gave us like the arguably the thin lead that we have now in Congress might be due to all of the BLM stuff and the rioting and the ACAB and all that shit. So like it just doesn't bode well to get violent. It hurts your movement so much.
Okay. And then I want to ask Shark. I saw Shark, you had a tweet about how you think that like both sides should be armed. What do you guys think about like armed protests in general? I'm a Canadian. I think it's fucked up that you guys have so much, like guns are such a big part. I understand that like I can't apply my own standards to America. I'm just wondering, Shark, you had that take about the
Listen, if those guys can show up and protect property that's in their community, then I think BLM protesters can show up with guns and protect their protest.
It's so scary.
Absolutely based.
I was gonna say I'm with Hind on this. I think it's sad that America has such a issue with guns and stuff. But I've said before, if I did live in America, I'd have to own a gun because other people have fucking guns. So like you have to be able to defend yourself. And you can't realistically otherwise. It's
a lot of people talk about like the security paradox there. Like, obviously, I mean, you're protesting, and then there could be like a militia that comes, and then you feel threatened. And we've seen actually this before, where those where people who are open carrying, who are opposed to BLM, show up, and then the Second Amendment then silences the First Amendment, and so those people don't feel comfortable going out into the street anymore to do any more protests. And there have been many cities across the country where BLM protests have dried up because of that. So
that's outrageous. No.
What?
No. Why would they? Because they fear people
shooting them,
engaging in their. Okay,
well, I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't show up to a protest if I thought counter protesters there are going to have fucking guns.
Like, you show up to a BLM protest, and then some like random dudes in like fucking military gear with like massive rifles are just looking at you, and then saying that you're evil, saying that you're a piece of shit, saying that you're trying to burn down the city. And like, yeah, I can 100% see like a normal person being like, yeah, I don't want to come back out here anymore.
It's their constitutionally.
So I just want to say, personally, I think that it might be less lethal to have. I think it might be even better to have one side armed and the other side unarmed, because there's like a clear understanding here of like, you can't like overstep the boundary. I think that like when you have both sides armed, you're kind of opening it up to like any quick, like some sudden noise might scare someone, and then like shit can pop off.
No, I think the best solution would probably be like the police, who we already give.
Go ahead, Shark. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the best thing would be like the police to be able to control some of these situations. We already have them to have the monopoly on violence already. If they can shut down people who are going crazy, then there's no need for anybody to have any guns on them. But I don't trust. When I was in Louisville, I didn't trust the LMPD to take care of protesters. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I think a lot of other BLM protesters don't feel comfortable in that as well. And you know what? A lot of those militias don't feel comfortable with allowing the police to just take control of property damage or something. Okay, so I mean, it's perfectly fine strategic sense for you to want to get armed. I can 100% see that, because if not, if someone starts spraying into your crowd, there's nothing that you can really do about it.
Okay. So just go ahead, Rob, and then I want to start wrapping up. So we'll go like maybe 5 more minutes. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Go ahead.
Okay. If people have the constitutional right to carry firearms, then they should be allowed to do it. I don't care if they're with BLM or with the people. Now, the irony of all of this is, first, Shark just makes the absolute most salient point. The reason that people feel the need to show up armed and do something is because the people that control the narrative in this country allowed or celebrated or ignored riots occurring over and over and over and over again on the left. That's why people had to take it into their own hands. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, why won't these Democrats, these mayors, use the police to stop this? And they didn't. And I had a conversation with Destiny about this, which he agreed, because they were allowing it to go because they thought it benefited them politically, because they thought they could say this hurts Trump, that's good, or they could say, see, we're holding the police back because we agree with you that they're white supremacists or they're bad or something like that. That's what happened. Now, the other thing that I'll say is, if you are against the Second Amendment and you're against people wanting to defend themselves, this Rittenhouse shit, what happened in Kenosha is the best advertisement for people arming themselves that you could ask for, because we saw the police stand down. We saw the riots occur over and over. We saw the governor of Wisconsin say we refuse to accept the National Guard. And Rittenhouse, if he wouldn't have had a gun that was able to hold as many rounds as he did, he'd be dead right now. He would. Only because he exercised his Second Amendment right. That was the only protection he had. The police weren't going to help him.
You don't think there was any agitation from having that kind of weapon just walking around?
It should be the opposite. It should be the opposite.
Can I ask a question? Do you think it would have been...
And this is amazing. This is great, because there are lots of places that have banned open carry during protests. I think that's amazing. The way that people use those guns and what?
Why? Why is
because
that?
Because the way that people use those guns and the implicit threat that of that weapon there does 100% provoke people and make situations worse. They just do. It's not saying that you can't carry a gun. You can still conceal carry if you want. You just can't open carry. It just makes the situation worse. You keep saying why. It makes the situation worse. You can we talked about guns before. We know that you add more guns, it makes things worse. I'm sorry, but we can't just like 100% ban guns, but we can ban open carry, which does make things worse.
Okay,
do you believe
I want to hear.
Wait, Rob.
Right, sorry.
One sec. Like honestly, honest question.
One sec. So Rob, I want you to answer, but I want you to address Shark's question and Ariana's question at the same time. Go ahead, Ariana.
Sure.
So I have questions. Number one, do you think that he would have been attacked the same way if he wasn't armed? And number two, when we allow open carry on either side to a protest, you really start to threaten the whole idea that we live in a republic and we're allowed to freely protest. Because honestly, most people, if you hear that fucking 17-year-old vigilantes are going out there with AR-15s or whatever the fuck rifle, they get kind of turned off by the protest, not gonna lie.
Just don't attack them.
Oh wait, hang on, wait. So
can I speak?
Yeah. Finish your point.
You don't cut anyone else off but me. Like, let me speak real quick.
No, he cuts everyone off. Don't worry, he cuts everyone off. But go ahead, Ariana.
Anyways.
So yeah, do you think Rob? Let's hear Rob. Okay, so Rob, do you think he would have been attacked the same way if he didn't have a gun?
Yeah, her 2 points contradict each other, right? Her first point is, well, by having the gun, it escalated. And the second point is, people are more reserved if someone's open carrying and less likely to protest, right? The truth is, if you are open carrying as opposed to concealed carrying, that's the biggest signal. Don't fuck with me. Don't come at me. Don't charge me. Don't try to hit me with a skateboard. And yet they did. Right? That Rosenbaum, there's no evidence that he attacked Rittenhouse because he had a gun. The evidence seems to suggest he attacked Rittenhouse because Rittenhouse was trying to put out, or at least suggesting he was going to put out the fires that Rosenbaum was setting.
That's why how is he going to put out the fire?
He was running towards. I don't know what he was going to do exactly. What's the point?
No, he was apparently no EMT.
Why do you only interrupt me because I'm a man? Do you only interrupt me because I'm a man? Is that what it is?
All right, fuck this.
You have literally been taking over this whole entire debate, Rob. You have literally been talking over everybody.
I'm finished. All right. Listen, I'm done. I'm done.
You love to hear yourself speak, dude.
I do. You're right.
You do. It's very clear.
Can I ask one question for finality?
Okay, no more questions. No more questions. I've muted.
Wait, not even
everyone.
from DrRedPill? He's only talking 3 times.
No, every single one of you except for I think Kevin right now is still unmuted, but everyone else is muted. Okay, I'm sick of this. I'm tired. Everyone's had enough. I think
can we still hear each other?
Circles. It's been fun. It's been heated. I want to go into closing statements. You can make a closing statement on this one, and you can plug your socials and your channel and whatever, and let's wrap it up, okay? So it was fun. I want to first of all thank each and every single one of you for coming on. I knew that this was going to be a testy and heated panel, okay? So I appreciate it. I know maybe, Destiny, you were offended that you were misgendered or whatever. I apologize formally, okay? First of all, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? Let's get me to 10,000 tonight, all right? And I want to again thank you all for coming. I know some people say that like I chime in too much as a moderator, but you can go fuck yourself. What do you want me to say? Okay, let's go around and do closing statements. I want to hear from DrRedPill, and then you can also plug your channel or whatever, your 2K fucking NBA 2K you play. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
I got nothing to plug. I just have one question.
Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, go ahead now.
Nothing to plug. I just have one question for everybody. Maybe you can answer in your closing statement. Is Rittenhouse, if you were a juror, is Rittenhouse guilty or not guilty?
Okay, fair enough. And did you have fun on the panel? Do you have any opinions? That's it?
No, it was great. Thanks for the invite. It was super fun.
No worries. All right, let's go to Shark. You can answer DrRedPill's question. You can make your closing statement on this topic and whatever else you want. Go ahead.
Sure. I guess to answer the question, I didn't watch the trial. I personally don't give a shit. Okay. It seems boring as fuck. And I just got on new ADHD medicine. I'm still working into it. Okay. I can't sit still through that shit. I'm not doing it. But I mean, when it comes to being a juror, it's way different than being a member of the public. You have very specific rules on how you will decide that case. And so, you know, it has very little to do with how I personally think a lot of the time. I think a lot of these problems are incredibly multifaceted, and we need to make sure that we deal with them as such. Moving into the future, I'd really love to see my people in my political sphere have really poignant thoughts. I think like we're already on the left. I think we're already pretty right. So I think that
correct. You mean
what? You
were pretty correct.
Yes, we're pretty correct. Left is best. Left is best. Okay. So we don't need to make anything up. We don't need to exaggerate anything. We can just push our politics, and in time, I think we will get there. The country's been moving left as we go on. All right. So I think that's about as much as I want to add. My name is Shark300. That's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. I do political memes, commentary videos. I do pre-recorded videos as well. And we play games sometimes too. You should check out our Gamba night. We're playing Mario Kart.
Jeez. All right, Shark. Thank you so much. I really always appreciate your takes. Level-headed Shark. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go over to Rob Noerr. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you for coming on. Sorry I had to cut you off a few times. I hope you understand. Like you said, you love to hear your own voice, but maybe other people don't love to hear it as much as you do. So I had to cut you off sometimes. Go ahead.
I would agree with that. Other people probably don't like it as much as me. But if it's between me or the progressive Brat, I bet 95 would pick me. Anyways,
no. Listen, no fucking hell, bro. I go ahead and fucking plug.
You know what? Genuinely, it literally makes my day that I trigger you so much that every single time you speak, you have to bring me up. Like, I'm literally sitting here on my phone unbothered as fuck, and you keep bringing my name up. So it's based as fuck that you are so triggered by me. I live to trigger Republicans and right side people like you, so thank you, honestly.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see if I can get through this. I'm triggered so much. Let's see if I'll be able to get through this closing statements. He's not guilty. I did watch. I watched a large portion of this trial. He is not guilty based on the facts, and it's appeared that would be the case unless something radically changed since we first saw this footage. Look, I'll just say this: like, you could say that the country's moving left, and in many ways that could be true. On some issues, left; on some issues, right. But I say this in all sincerity, not joking around. If the mentality that people on this panel have showed is allowed to be labeled as speaking for the left, you're going to get crushed, because this idea that everyone's racist that disagrees and you shouldn't be allowed to defend your property, and if you're doing the okay sign, that's racist. People are done with this shit. And people are waking up to see how the media misrepresented this, and they're going to start to realize that the media is misrepresenting shit all the time. And they're doing so to cause division in this country, and they're doing so because they have a political agenda and they have a monetary agenda to do so. So I think that if you better hope that a voice like Destiny is the voice that wins out, as opposed to the progressive voice that wants to shout racism around every corner and say that Rittenhouse is a murderer and was fake crying and shit like that, because it's going to cause significant losses for in the future, and I'm all for it as a right winger. So my name's Rob Noerr. You can find me predominantly on Twitch TV. It's as it's spelled, all lowercase, Rob Noerr. I'm on YouTube at Normal America with Rob Noerr. I stream almost every weeknight around 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for having me.
All right, bro. Thank you very much. Even though I'm not a fan of fucking name calling anybody, okay? You did it, she did it, everybody fucking did it. Who gives a shit? All right, let's go over to.
Listen, all right. Sorry, believers. I'm paying out. We got to do the payout, okay? Will Rob Noerr quit? Will Rob Noerr rage quit the panel? He did not. Nah, he's just gonna mauled. And boy, did he maul, did he seethe. All right, well, there you go. Nah, he just mauled. Just gonna mauled. There you go. Look at that socialism. Look at that redistribution of wealth right there. Oh my goodness, man, you never run out of other people's money, huh? So yeah, it was we had fun here. Oh, also thank you everybody for the follows. I really appreciate you.
I just don't think it's worth a life or two lives in this situation being taken. And yeah, my name is the Progressive Brat. I am on all social media. Actually, it's the same on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I live stream every single night. I also host guest live streams as well, and I go on debates regularly on live, but I usually do that on different platforms, not Twitch. But I will be active on Twitch soon. Thanks so much, Heem, for having me. Destiny, I do genuinely want to apologize for misgendering you. I did Google you, and I did. No, I'm being honest to God.
Come on, Destiny, you gotta have respect for that. Why are you laughing?
No. Can I just speak really quick? I genuinely did Google you, and I did know that you are non-binary, but I did also read that you do go by the pronouns he, him. So I do want to apologize if by me saying you were mansplaining me, it was offensive. I do genuinely want to apologize for that. Everything else I said, though, I meant it. So thank you, and have a great night, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Destiny, do you accept her apology?
I accept it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You.
Look at that. We can all come together. Isn't that lovely?
No, absolutely not. Holy fuck. I think that there's a lot of fucking stupid shit on this panel. The progressive Brat obviously is on a crazy shit, but we couldn't get in that much into it. Same thing with Kevin, who also believes in crazy shit. My name's Destiny. I'm on Twitch. If you want somebody to actually look at all the facts of a case before deciding what's going on, or without coming to crazy conclusions, or without concluding that every single person in the country is either a white nationalist or a white supremacist or a racist person, whatever. Yeah, I do politics on Twitch and YouTube at Destiny.
Destiny, do you think you've been on these panels a lot? Do you think I moderated okay?
I think you did an okay job. It was a challenge. You have a challenging job before you, my friend.
All right. Yeah. Anytime you fucking come on, it's going to be a challenging job. All right,
hey, other people made this hard too. Okay.
It's true. Let's go to Kevin. Go ahead.
I'm Kevin Logan. You can find me at KFLogan1875 here on Twitch. In terms of whether Carl Rittenhouse is guilty, I dare say it's going to be a struggle to get that case through in the courts, but that's the way it goes, I suppose, whatever. Just to what Rob said about the idea that we should want the voice of the man who said that the redneck militias should mow down, or he was okay with redneck militias mowing down dipshit protesters, that should be the voice of the left that wins out. You're a clown.
Wait, the person who said that, or Rob is a clown?
No, Rob is a clown. Destiny's also a clown. I haven't said it in the first place, though, but whatever.
This guy who says I'm a fascist, yeah, that one.
I didn't call you. When have I called you a fascist? When did I say that?
It was in your YouTube title. Destiny goes full fash.
Okay. I think he's going to go full fash without being a fash. All right, listen, Kevin, plug your socials.
At KFLogan1875 here on Twitch, and Kurt Logan on YouTube, on Twitter, but that's not actually my real name. It's just a burner account because I'm going to get banned again, probably.
All right. Listen, I want to thank you all so much. I had a fucking great time. It was a bit challenging. I personally hate name calling and stuff. Okay.
Dude, you sold that first topic so well. Like, congrats, man. That was.
I fucking did. Travis Scott should go to prison. I don't give a fuck what you guys say. Okay. I'll stand by that. And on that note, I want to say thank you. Make sure to check me out on YouTube. I am Heem, twitch.tv/Heem. Thank you all so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we can leave on good terms. Okay. Everyone have a fantastic night.
Yeah, take care.
Take care. Brush your hair. And don't forget to sit in a chair. Bye, guys.
Hey, Destiny.
Hey, what's up?
Listen, no matter what people say, I don't care. Okay. You raised me to be the young man that I am today. Without you and Vosh, I wouldn't be who I am.
Well,
without you guys, I would be alone and afraid.
Some point in the middle, because we are definitely diametrically opposed on a lot of shit we believe in. So,
all right. Well, listen. Thank you guys all for coming.
Your show's over. Okay, stop cutting us off.
Oh, sorry. I'm not moderating anymore. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Destiny, what did you have for? What were you eating before?
There we go. I had to do it once. All right, let me get the camera working again. So, little wrap up. Okay, before I ask any questions, please. I was so sad. Because fuck, dude. Logan and Progressive just fell into every single rhetorical trap, just like over and over and over again. Like it was just it was like watching a fucking I don't even know. It was like watching like one of those like weird game shows where like the contestant has to walk barefoot through a room covered in fucking mouse traps, and it was just like they were cartoonishly just falling into all of them, and it was so bad. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And someone was like, help them. I'm like, how do I help them? What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to be before any like Rob or Destiny responds? Am I supposed to be or DrRedPill? Was I supposed to be like, don't take that back? Take that back. Don't say that. Retract that statement now. Retract it. And they wouldn't listen to that. They'd 100% be like, no. So I mean, it's just I love them to death. Okay, I love them to death, and their hearts are in the right place. 100%. This is not me saying that they're dumb or like whatever. I'm just saying their hearts are in the right place. They fell into every trap though, and it was not good for them. There were so many points in there where I really wanted to get in, but there was nothing for me to say. And sometimes I did say something and they just they just kind of like moonwalked past it, and I was like, all right, well, Well, there you go. They ignored every point. You know what it was like? It was like, since this is my job, this is like, you know when a group of friends are talking, okay? You and a group of friends are talking and you start telling a story and you like slowly taper off because you realize that nobody is listening. That's what that show was like, but now it's my job. And I'm just like, well, all right. All right. Well, listen, at least I was in there. I was there, okay? I was there. Hey, look at that. I hate that. Yeah, it's not a good meme. Drink the water. I drink the water. You literally said, hey Kevin, Professor, can I talk to them for a bit? I was really hoping that I could get like a back and forth with like the four of them, or like the three of them, like Rob, Noerr, DrRedPill, and Destiny. I was really hoping that after I said that, they would like be like, okay, and I could like, because I really feel like if I had the opportunity, I could have bridged that gap and made that part look good, but you know, it'd be like that. And once again, this isn't me saying that I dislike them or they're bad or anything. They're absolutely not. And once again, their hearts are in the right place and they got the right politics. It's just, you know, it can just be. But I don't know, maybe when it comes to Kevin Logan, listen, he's in Britbonger land, all right? He's got his own problems, so you know, it'd be that way. It'd be that way. He was dead ass harassing. Listen, I'll look back through the VOD and we'll do that. Someone asked if the VOD's gonna be on YouTube. Yes, it absolutely will. Also, if you're watching right now and you enjoyed how we did, you can check us out on YouTube. Do ! YouTube if you're on mobile, or you can scroll below the stream at the moment if you're on Twitch. You can find the YouTube. Help us get to, what is it, 54,000 subscribers? Is that right? Yes. Help us get to 54,000 subscribers if you would like. Every time she talked, they both started to laugh at her. It felt awkward. It was a little mean, but I know for them, on like their side, for them, I know what it felt like, because with some of her argumentation style, she was setting up some slam dunks for them, which was not good. So obviously they were like cackling, and then obviously they could hit back, but you know. Oh, one thing that I should have brought this up. I didn't talk about this. One thing that I wanted to say specifically is be like, you can make edgy jokes. Man, you know what? Because Rob Noerr was like pissing and moaning about that. I forgot. I should have brought that up at the very end. Like, I find it just really funny how conservatives always talk about people getting canceled and the left trying to cancel them, and they don't like anything that's like controversial at all, or like edgy. They hate all edgy humor. But once someone makes like a joke about they're like clipping together memes of Kyle Rittenhouse like fucking crying on the stand, now instantly they're all like, oh we can't possibly make fun of him and his trauma. We couldn't possibly do this. Like, oh come on, bud. Absolute ghouls. All right, buddy. Sure. All right, bud. Listen, okay, I grew up on the internet. That's why I say the N-word, all right? And I remember back in the day, I remember back in 6th grade, us like over Instagram sharing like 9/11 memes, you know, like Buzz, we're not gonna make it to the truck. We're not aiming for the truck. Boom, you know, that's classic. And that's an edgy meme. I'm sorry. They like piss and moan about that shit and about how the left being too sensitive. But the second that happens, they're how can you be making fun of him? How can you be saying it? Like fucking maulding, man.